So just to recap the toss, Durham won the toss, they decided to fold first. So the Steelbacks
as well as physically tiring.
I mean, Trish, obviously you're I know, involved in the office and the development side here in Northamptonshire, and you see the players come in every morning, and I think some of them are a bit tired, to be honest. And I know there's going to be people listening saying, yeah, but it's a dream job, and it is, but it's still punishing on the body.
It is, and even though they've got great staff behind them, keeping them fit and healthy as much as they can, it is on the body, and you can do everything that you need to do. But yeah, it's testing, especially if you've got even sometimes sitting around all day doing nothing is quite hard to keep in it physically and mentally. So yeah, they never get much of a break.
And I suppose, Frank, the reason, or partly the reason for this, obviously, we have a new competition this year, which is going to be involving some of the players. But I mean, you think about, as far as Northamptonshire are concerned, you've got then this rather abrupt change of gear. T20 tonight, and then Championship on Sunday, then back to T20, then back to Championship, then back to T20, and then the 50 over starts. It's whoever has come up with this schedule, I think, must have had a sense of humour, possibly a slightly warped one.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. I know that's a bit of a sort of non-thing to say, but we saw it at the beginning of the season when the fixtures came out. The 100 had to be accommodated. There are various views on whether that is the right way to go or not. But red ball cricket seems to have been pushed to the margin, certainly with all that red ball cricket at the very beginning of the season. Ironically, we did get better weather than usual for most of that. But then this T20 blast, which being packed in, for all we've said that it's a punishing schedule, has actually given the competition a kind of identity that everybody's bought into, I think, because everybody's playing quite regularly and it's all compacted. So if you put aside the physical demands and the mental demands on the players, there are aspects of the programming that have been successful, but I, from my own personal point of view, I bemoan the sort of marginalising of the Red Bull stuff, really.
You're not going to get any disagreement from me on that one, for sure. Just to bring you up to date, with, as I say, we're going to be starting here in around about, 12, 13 minutes' time. Northamptonshire's bowlers just having a little run out before the field has to be cleared. I have looked at the Durham team now. They are missing the left-arm spinner Liam Travaskis, who bowled very well against Northamptonshire up at Riverside last week. He, unfortunately, has been identified as a close contact of someone who has tested positive for COVID-19, so he's having to self-isolate. The team then, David Beddingham, Graham Clark, Ben Stokes, Cameron Bancroft, the Australian who captains the side, Sean Dixon, Ned Eckersley, the wicket-keeper, Ben Rain, Scott Borthwick, Matty Potts, Harry Crawshaw, young academy player, 17 years old, and the seam bowler Jack Campbell is in the side. So that's the Durham lineup. Well, I mentioned last night, of course, Northamptonshire winning up at Grace Road, and just when things were starting to get a little bit nervy, Northamptonshire chasing 139 to win, and they were 113 for 5 with 4 overs to go, and we were just thinking, is this game going to have a twist? And then Saif Zabe came in and hit 21 not out off 11 balls to finish the match, including an enormous 6 that cleared the sight screen at the Bennett end. And after the game, I had a chat with him as well. Safe Save speaking to me last night after the victory up at Grace Road, which, as I say, he finished the match with a flourish. The six he hit, as I say, the big one that left Northamptonshire just a couple of runs to win, that went over the sight screen. It caused a certain amount of comments on social media because the analysts, I think, put it down as a slog. And I don't know if you've seen it on social media, but it wasn't a slog. It was a terrific cricket shot, but there was a certain amount of joshing going on afterwards, I think you call it. Trish, just talk to us a little bit about Rob Keogh, because Safe mentioned there about Rob Keogh being the glue, if you like, in the white ball side. And to be honest, he's done a pretty similar job in red ball this year. And I mean, he's been around a while, as we know. He's gone past the 30 mark now, and he's been a first team cricketer at Northamptonshire for 11 seasons. But he's having a pretty good year, isn't he, in all formats? He just keeps on churning out runs when they're needed.
Yeah, he's been doing really well. And, losing Alex Wakely, who used to do that role, I think we definitely needed someone to step up, and he's taken it upon himself. He's come out sometimes when we've been in not good positions at all, and although we might not have got over the line in all of the games, he's done a really good job to at least get us back into it. I think he's really shown maturity in his innings. He's had the ability to hit runs when he's needed to. If not, he's just looked to run hard. He's very quick between the wickets, and he's been able to build partnerships with everyone. So he's done a fantastic job, and hopefully he'll be able to carry on throughout the season in red ball and white ball.
And I mean, those of us that follow county cricket over many years, every team needs players like Keogh. May not necessarily make the headlines day in, day out, but he just keeps putting in a good shift in all formats, doesn't he?
Yeah, and like you said, every team does need someone like that, that can be there when you're losing wickets round you, talk to the batsmen that are coming in, and just keep rotating the strike, because you've got to be out there the whole time. You've got to bat those 20 overs if it's a 20 over game, and he's definitely steadied the ship on many occasions.
Frank, we just touched on this whole business of having to switch from T20 back to red ball cricket at the end of this week, at the coming weekend. Obviously, you have a coaching background, and from a coach's point of view, again, for the players that were playing both, and you referenced the fact that there are players playing both formats, what do they need to do? Because they've almost got to completely change the mindset. It was Safe Zabe, I think, said when they switched into T20 that he spent the last 6 weeks trying to leave everything, and now he's got to try and hit everything for 4.
That was exactly the point that I was going to make about leaving the ball as a coach. I think the one problem that I've identified with good young players that are coming through, and I mean academy players and second team players and so on, is that they've grown up playing short formats, much more so in the last 5 years, say, where you literally, it's almost a crime to leave the ball. You've got to try and score off every ball. I mean, you just never see a leave, do you, in white ball cricket? Maybe very occasionally when a batsman just forgets himself early in his innings, but generally go at everything. And then you get into a red ball format, and you've got to learn to leave it, particularly, early on in the first hour on a first day. If you're a top 3 batter and you get out there and the ball's seaming around, I think that's the biggest single challenge. From the bowler's point of view, and Trish will probably agree with this as well, I think there are other challenges with bowling. Bowling a length, the length that you look for with the red ball is absolutely not what you want to do in white ball cricket, because they'll get underneath you right from the start and dispatch you. So you're trying to bowl very full all the time, or trying to bowl lots of variations, and not really seeking a stop ball. So you could go a month without bowling a spell where you're just trying to hit length and nip it around, because you're always trying to do something else. And then suddenly you've got a red ball in your hand, and that's what you've got to do. So I think there are real challenges for the players that play both, whether they're bowlers or batsmen. It's a really testing aspect of the modern game that not everybody thinks about, I think.
Trish, I know you were saying that so far, I know the Northamptonshire women's team have just basically been playing T20 this year, isn't it? But it's a good point, well made, I think, from Frank there, that it's difficult to. The disciplines are not, and the skills are not necessarily interchangeable. There's some very good things that have come from white ball cricket into red ball, fielding and some bowling options and so on. But you must sympathise with the players, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's a completely different game, isn't it? And the white ball does different things. It doesn't hold its shine. So obviously after a few overs, it's gone, and your bowlers are only coming on for 1 or 2 overs and then being taken off. Where in red ball, they're expected to, work as real teams and bowl for 6, 7, 8 overs in a spell. It's a completely different. Like you said, yeah, the red ball has got better because of the skills that have been brought in from the white ball game. But yeah, it is a completely different game, and you have to try and score from ball 1, and the pressure's felt if you have a few dot balls. Whereas in Championship, it doesn't matter if you have a few maidens on the trot because it is about sort of batting for length of time. So yeah, it's a hard game.
I must mention that I'm sure Northamptonshire listeners in particular will be interested to hear that Simon Kerrigan, who's obviously going to be a key man as far as Northamptonshire are concerned, one imagines when they go back to Championship cricket. Of course, at the end of the week against Yorkshire, bowled beautifully in a number of those Championship matches in the first part of the season. He's been playing for the second 11, as have a number of other cricketers who are likely to appear in Northamptonshire's red ball side, the likes of Luke Proctor and Gareth Berg, Charlie Thurston. And Simon Kerrigan's been thoroughly enjoying himself playing Gloucestershire down at Rockhampton, which is not a ground I'm familiar with. But Simon Kerrigan took 6 wickets in the first innings, and Gloucestershire have lost 4 in their second innings, and he's taken all of them. So he's on 10 wickets in the match so far, with plenty of power to add. Worth also mentioning a century, 116 in the Northamptonshire innings, from one James Sales, son of David, at Wellingborough School, and very highly thought of. And you may be interested to know, say, if you're listening in Northamptonshire, that David Sales will be one of our guests on the cricket show tomorrow night between 6 and 7. I think we're also going to be talking to Ricardo Vasconcelos, aka Dave. And we're also going to be having a chat with Tony Kingston, Northamptonshire's long-serving scorer, about a little bit of an anniversary. We're trying to bring into the cricket show a few chats about things that happened on this week, years ago in Northamptonshire cricket history. And back in 1953, in this week, the Australians came here. It is officially the biggest crowd that has ever watched a cricket match on this ground. About 14,000 watched the Australians come in 1953, and a certain Frank Tyson made a big impact on that game with a couple of early wickets, as the Australians were very few for 3. So we're going to be reminiscing about that. But here and now, because we're about to get underway here at Wantage Road, the umpire's Ben Debenham and the familiar figure of Nick Cook, who are heading out to the middle along with the Durham players, reminding you that Durham have won the toss and have decided to bowl first. So heading out into the middle now, the Northamptonshire openers, Ricardo Vasconcelos and Ben Curran, getting a round of applause from the crowd, which is pretty much as it has been, the size of the crowd for the T20s so far. There's around about 850, I think. We'll get confirmation of the club, I'm sure, later on in the evening, but around about 850. And it's a good sort of smattering across the ground. Unfortunately, I say part of the Ken Turner stand down in front of us can't be used because there's a television camera gantry there. So that just takes out a few seats, but other than that, there's a good sort of spread around the ground and some of the corporate facilities being used as well. So decent atmosphere, and it's going to be Ricardo Vasconcelos who's going to face the first ball. I think Matty Potts is going to bowl it. The countdown is underway, and I suppose, Frank, we're talking once again about the power play and the importance of the power play, and I know you've seen some games recently where it's been almost like a first morning of a championship match.
I've seen some interesting power plays. I had an interesting chat on this ground with Ish Sodhi after the Worcestershire game here a few weeks ago, and he said if you lose 3 wickets in the power play, you rarely win a T20 game. And since then, I've seen Worcestershire manage 20 for 4 in a power play and lose, and then I've seen Yorkshire manage 18 for 4 in a power play and win both of those games a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, extraordinary times. The times they are changing.
Well, here's Matty Potts bowling the first ball of the match to Ricardo Vasconcelos, who plays that away for the first run off the first ball out to the man coming in off the mid-wicket boundary. So Vasconcelos is away with a single,
But I
Steelbacks, 1 for no wicket.
Sorry, I think the conventional wisdom is that you do not want to lose more than 2, and I think 45 is about par. 45 for 2 in a power play.
Well, I say
Probably settle for that.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, Northamptonshire have this this run of losing at least 2 and often 3 and sometimes 4 wickets in the power play, and contributed to the poor run of results. His Potts in again from the far end, the indoor centre end, and Ben Curran in turn is away off the mark with a single up to mid-on. 2 for no wicket off 2 balls. Northamptonshire, remember, going in with an unchanged side, the same team that beat Leicestershire last night. So Vasconcelos and Curran opening, then Cobb, Nabi, Keogh, Zabe, Parnell, Taylor, White, Heldrick and Glover. And I'll just run through the Durham side for you in just a second. As Potts comes in again and bowls to Vasconcelos. Outside the off stump, drives, good bit of fielding at backward point. And that, I think, is Harry Crawshaw, the young academy player. Excellent bit of fielding at backward point. And we know it's him because he's the man with no number. There's a few of those around. Freddie Heldrick hasn't got a number yet either in the Northamptonshire side. The Durham team, David Beddingham, Graham Clark, Ben Stokes, Cameron Bancroft, Sean Dixon, Ned Eckersley, Ben Rain, Scott Borthwick, Matty Potts, Harry Crawshaw and Jack Campbell. And here is Potts bowling again to Vasconcelos down the leg side. There's an appeal because presumably it just clipped something because it isn't called a wide. So I'm assuming from that it must just have clipped the pad maybe on the way through. They had a speculative appeal for a catch behind, but not out. And just reminding you that Liam Travaskis, unfortunately, not able to play for Durham this evening because he's been identified as a close contact of someone who's tested positive for COVID. So he's having to self-isolate. On social media, he's already been wishing the team good luck. His Potts in again, bowls to Vasconcelos, clips that to backward point. And straight to the fielder there, just on the edge of the circle. The 2 men out at the moment are at deep mid-wicket and 3rd man. Good tidy start from Matty Potts. Just 2 on the board so far, 2 singles off the first 2 balls. Northamptonshire in the power play last night, 44 for 2, but bearing in mind they were chasing a relatively small total. Another single there as Vasconcelos just drops that down on the offside. Runs up to extra cover, so 3 singles off the first over of the match from Matty Potts. Vasconcelos is 2, Curran 1, and Trish, tidy start.
Yeah, that's what you want from Durham. Would be very happy with that start. Yeah, it's a couple of good bits of fielding, a couple of sort of the field in the right place, puts the pressure onto the bat. And I think Ricardo will be a bit frustrated he didn't get a couple of those away.
Yeah, good start for young Harry Crawshaw from Durham, debutant, 1 of 2. And the other one is Jack Campbell, who's about to bowl from our commentary end. Number 11 on his back, left arm seamer. And he's going to be bowling to Ricardo Vasconcelos. Good start, I thought, by Matty Potts. Pretty straight that first over. Anyway, here is Campbell. He's in, he bowls to Vasconcelos, who drives down the ground sweetly. He's gone past Ben Stokes at mid-off and he can't catch it. And it's the first boundary of the evening. Nice shot from Vasconcelos. Hit it between the bowler and Stokes at mid-off, and it's gone all the way. He'll feel a bit better because, as you said, Trish, he was a bit disappointed he didn't get a boundary in that first over, but that very good piece of fielding by Crawshaw. So a good start for Vasconcelos, not such a good start for the debutant Jack Campbell, who's in again now to bowl to the left-hander. He bowls short and wide and cut by Vasconcelos and misfielded in the gully by Graham Clark. It slips through his fingers and runs away for a single, which takes the Northants total on to 8 without loss. Vasconcelos has 7 and Ben Curran has 1. He's now taking guard from the umpire Ben Debenham, another left-hander, which means Campbell will stay over the wicket. He's got to slip in, not at first slip, sort of second slip really. Big gap between the keeper and that slip fielder. It's Borthwick. In comes Campbell. Left arm over, bowls now to Curran, who drives down the ground, and there's a brilliant piece of fielding by Ben Stokes, and Curran is very nearly run out. Fantastic bit of fielding by the England man. Moving to his left, it looked as though it might go for 4. He dived full length, made a sort of goalkeeper style two-handed stop, and sprang to his feet and then flung the ball right up to the wicketkeeper's end, and Curran, having come about halfway down the pitch and been sent back by Vasconcelos, scrambled back. Great bit of fielding. They've started well in the field, Durham.
It was. It looked like one of those instances when the batsman was running for the shot.
Yes, it was. Here's Campbell again. He's in. He bowls to Curran, who lifts this one over mid-wicket for 4. Drifting into the pads a little bit there, Campbell. And Curran capitalising, chipping it over the infield, and a couple of bounces and away to the boundary underneath the old signal box here at Wantage Road, for those of you that know the ground. Campbell, it's a real learning experience, isn't it, for a young bowler coming into T20 cricket. You learn that the margins for error are that much smaller. And he comes in again now, having gone for 2 boundaries in this over, and he bowls to Curran, who drives down the ground, and it just beaten Ben Stokes at mid-off over his head, and it's gone for 4 more. But that was a false shot, really, and Campbell unlucky not to pick up his first wicket there, because it was a miss-hit, really, by Curran. And Ben Stokes running across, fancied his chances of making the catch, jumped, but it just cleared his hands by a couple of feet and ran away to the boundary for 4. So expensive over from Campbell so far, but unlucky perhaps not to pick up his first wicket there. 16 without loss, 1 ball left in the second. Here is Campbell. He bowls to Curran, who drives again, and that's 4 more. This time it's a wide half volley, and he's kind of flat batted it through extra cover for 4. So a harsh introduction to T20 cricket for Jack Campbell, and that expensive over is completed, and at the end of it, 17 runs coming from it. Northamptonshire are 20 without loss. Vasconcelos has 7, Curran has 13. And that's just an indication, Trish, of how tough it is for a young man coming in at this stage.
Yeah, it's completely different. He probably has been playing age group against people sort of his own sort of age, but as you mentioned earlier, the margins for error are minuscule. He bowled a couple of good balls there. Obviously, Ben Stokes backed it up with a bit of good fielding, and then nearly got a wicket, but then a couple of loose, slightly loose. It's probably a little bit harsh saying it's completely loose, but yeah, and then a few boundaries.
Cameron Bancroft turning to Ben Stokes to bowl the 3rd over, which he is from the indoor centre end. Bowls to Vasconcelos, who runs it away cleverly down to 3rd man, just beats the man at backward point, Graham Clark, and they come through for a single, and takes Vasconcelos up to 8, and Northamptonshire to 21 for no wicket. Important innings this, you feel, for Ben Curran. I was saying earlier that he's keen to make a mark in white ball cricket. He hasn't played a lot of T20 for Northamptonshire since coming to the club 3 years ago. But he's got his chance here. There's Ben Stokes bowling to him. Short, and Curran, that was a quick ball, slapped into Ned Eckersley's gloves. Curran thought for a moment about going for the pull and decided against it. These two, as we were saying last night up at Leicester, were David Ripley's preferred opening pair in red ball cricket at the start of the season. And they did open together for a good few games at the start of the campaign. Then Ben Curran just hadn't really been producing any scores of note. Lost his place to Emilio Gay. Here's Stokes in, bowls to Curran, who takes 2 steps down the pitch and, no respecter of persons, smashes it back past Ben Stokes for 4. Well, that's his 4th boundary. And well, Ben who?
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't care who Ben Stokes has been playing for. That's a brilliant shot, isn't it? It's just showing that he wants to show everyone what he can do. A couple of steps into it, and yeah, very nice shot.
Terrific shot. Hit that hard. It's a good job Ben Stokes didn't get a boot on it, I think. 17 to Curran, 25 for no wicket Northamptonshire in the 3rd over after being put into bat. You're listening to T20 Blast Cricket on the BBC with me, Andrew Rad, Frank Watson and Trish Hankins. And here's Ben Stokes. What can his reply going to be? Well, it's short and wide, and Curran cracks it away for 4 more. This is a terrific start for Ben Curran. 5 boundaries to him already, and he goes up to 21. And Northamptonshire up to 29 for no wicket. And that was a decent shot. I think, Trish, no matter what sort of cricket you were playing, just a good cricket shot.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, when normally somebody like Ben Stokes, he gets quite angry when he gets hit for runs. So I bet he was expecting something a lot shorter. He just waited for it and played it. He didn't overhit it, just used the pace. So no, very good shot.
Yes, there's in effect, there's a point and a backward point, and neither of them stood any chance of cutting that one off. Stokes going round the wicket now to Curran. Short, he pulls and he doesn't get hold of it, and he's a little bit fortunate there. It just looped behind square on the onside, and it was in the air a while, but fortunately he managed to find a gap. So he comes through for a single, 22 to Curran, 30 for no wicket. Just having a chat with his partner. These two are good mates off the field, which is, I know, one of the reasons why David Ripley likes them as an opening pair. As I say, Curran losing his place in red ball side to Emilio Gay, who promptly went and made a century down at Canterbury. Here's Stokes again round the wicket, bowling to Vasconcelos. Driven by Vasconcelos, but doesn't beat Harry Crawshaw in there at point. Another good bit of fielding from him. End of the over, 3 gone. Curran doing the bulk of the scoring, 22 off 9 balls for him. Vasconcelos is 8, and at the end of 3 overs, Northamptonshire 30 for no wicket.
Yeah, good striking from Curran. I think you're right, Trish. Ben Stokes just got to stay calm, hasn't he? I mean, he's been in so many of these situations, but he's just got to stay calm, not allow it to get to him, and keep getting it in the right place. Matty Potts coming on now at the pavilion end. And it's a good, well, we talked about power plays. 30 off 3 is a good start to any power play with no wickets down. Here's Potts. He's in, he bowls, and 4 more for Curran, who heaves this away. Not the prettiest of shots, but it was a tad short of a length from Potts, and he just carved it across the line, really, through mid-wicket, found the gap. Fortune favoured the brave, and he's off to a flyer, Ben Curran. 26 off 10, 34 without loss, the Steelbacks, having been put into bat. Matty Potts wants to make a change to his field now. He's sending Borthwick out onto the leg side boundary, bringing the man up from 3rd man inside the circle. Good start for the Steelbacks. Durham with a few headaches in this power play as Potts moves away from us again and bowls to Curran and beats him with a good one. Sometimes bowling what you might call a conventional delivery is exactly the right thing to do, and he's just back of a length there, and it might just have nipped away a little bit off the seam and beat the forward push of Curran. If you're tuning in from Durham and you're expecting to hear the dulcet tones of Martin Emerson, then I'm sorry he's not here today. He's having a day off to celebrate a big birthday, and I'm replacing him. Here's Potts in again, bowl short, and Curran heaves this away on the leg side, and that's the first 6 of the evening. It's not the biggest boundary here at Wantage Road, and he cleared it by 3 or 4 metres, and the Northamptonshire faithful applaud very happily. The first 6 of the evening. Ben Curran is on fire. He's gone to 32, and it's 40 without loss in the 4th.
And that is already Ben Curran's highest T20 score.
Well, there you go. He's in the mood tonight, I think. 32 off 12.
Previously 29.
Just going back to Martin Emerson's absence, I'm at Frank Watson 58 on Twitter, if you'd like to get in touch, and Andrew is at OldManRad. And I'm just standing in as the Durham commentator tonight. Normally I'm with Worcestershire, as Potts comes in again, and this one is just nudged away on the onside. Sensible batting from Ben Curran, picks up a single, and he goes to 33, 41 without loss in the 4th. If Phil Rowe was here, he'd say, you don't need to do anything, Daphne, you've won the over.
Yeah, that's right.
You've won the over already. So often you do see well, we criticised Northamptonshire for it when I was here with Worcestershire for keeping going when you'd already won the over and losing wickets as a consequence. The lights are on here at Wantage Road. Pleasant evening. A tad chilly perhaps as Potts moves in and bowls, and this one's nudged down on the offside by Vasconcelos, and very good running because that's gone straight to the fielder that backward point, and they still get through for a single, despite the fact that Graham Clark was in quickly from there, sort of specialises in that backward point position, Clark. But if both batsmen are in tune, as you suggested they are, Andrew, these two, and they both go early, it's almost impossible to stop a single when you're on the edge of the circle. You'd have to be in a conventional gully position, wouldn't you, to prevent a single if they go like that. 42 without loss. 1 ball left in the 4th. Matty Potts bowling it. No wicket for 15 so far, coming up to the end of his 2nd over. He bowls, and this one's clipped away very nicely through mid-wicket. Really well timed, very well fielded. Sliding stop in the field by Scott Borthwick, but they're through for 2. And that's another very good over for the Steelbacks. 44 without loss at the end of 4. We've been talking since the start of the game about power plays, and I would say 44 off 4 is about as good as it gets, Trish.
Definitely, especially because they only got 3 off the first over. So Durham definitely won that one, put the pressure on them, bowling good areas. That was Matty Potts. And obviously he's just come back, and Curran didn't think about, he bowled a really good first over. He thought, if the ball's there to hit, I'm going to hit it. So it's a fantastic start. But as you mentioned, Northampton have been known to lose wickets and soft dismissal. So we've got to try and get through the next 2 at least, just building on the start that these two have got, and try and get out with no wickets.
Well, it's going to be Harry Crawshaw who's coming into the attack on his debut, of course, for Durham in this form of cricket. Bowling left arm spin, and he starts off with a full-length ball to Ricardo Vasconcelos, which is played up to long on for a single. 1 more to Vasconcelos, who goes up to 10. He's been comprehensively overshadowed by his partner tonight. 45 for no wicket. And I think it's interesting, Trish, because, I mean, you obviously will know Ben Curran, and he's a very positive, very confident, extremely confident young man. And you'd think, actually, this format ought to suit him down to the ground. Here's Crawshaw in again, bowling to Curran, who just works that away for a single on the onside. Sensibly just going to have a look at a bowler that he won't have seen before. Pick up another single.
Yeah, he's a confident young man, and he will be wanting to show everyone that what he can do in all formats. So he hasn't had many opportunities, but now he's been given one, and he's doing a pretty good job so far. 36
to Curran, 46 for no wicket. Crawshaw in bowls to Vasconcelos, who's gone for a sweep. He's got a top edge, and it's just ballooned, fortunately for him, over the man in there on the edge of the circle, short fine leg on the 45 degree. And it was Jack Campbell there, and it looked for a moment, it was hanging in the air. You thought it might be a catch, but it wasn't. Able to come through for a couple. 12 to Vasconcelos, 48 for no wicket in the 5th over. Here's Crawshaw in bowls short, and that's swung away by Vasconcelos for 4. Just tried to fire that one in a little bit quicker, but Vasconcelos down on one knee and paddled it away down behind square for 4. And that's the 50 up for Northamptonshire in the 5th over. So this has been a very, very good start. 16 to Vasconcelos, 52 for no wicket. 50 coming up off 4 overs and 4 balls. Now, what's Harry Crawshaw's reply going to be? Bowls again to Vasconcelos, who's down the pitch and drives him over the top of long off. It's not going to go quite to the boundary. It's a really good scrambling stop down there in front of the indoor centre. That's a terrific bit of fielding, but they're still able to come through for a couple. And who was it? Needless to say, Ben Stokes.
Fantastic bit of fielding. To get 2 for that is incredible fielding.
You know, there's no question of Ben Stokes saving himself, because it's a T20 match on whatever night of the week it is at Wantage Road. 100% at all times. Crawshaw in again, bowls and swept away by Vasconcelos. And once again, it looked for a moment as though Jack Campbell at short fine might be in business, but in the end it flew a couple of yards past him down to the boundary. And it's another very productive over for Northamptonshire. 14 runs off it at the end of it. Vasconcelos is 22, Curran is 36, and Northamptonshire 58 for no wicket. 5 overs gone.
really tough for Crawshaw, Trish, isn't it? Yeah, first over in senior cricket. Could have picked up a couple of wickets,
Yeah.
a top edge sweep and one that went just over a fielder.
It's great to see that Durham have got the confidence in them, you know, that they've got to this level and they can do it. And, you know, 2 debutants bowling overs within the power play is great, but yeah, it puts a lot of pressure on them and just probably hasn't bowled that badly, but 2 batsmen that are playing decently tonight just can make those figures look quite bad, and potentially could have had a couple of wickets there, but didn't quite go to hand.
No, the margins are so small. I mean, one top edge sweep just over a fielder and one sort of miss-hit just over a fielder. Anyway, Stokes around the wicket. He's in, he bowls, and more runs here for Curran, who gets a short one and just goes with it, really helps it on its way, swivelling round and lifts it over short fine leg and away down to the boundary for 4. Durham in a bit of trouble here, I'm afraid, in the last over of the power play. Score's gone up to 62 without loss.
Just looking, Frank, thinking about the opening partnership of Vasconcelos and Rossington in the first match between these two sides at Riverside. They were 66 for no wicket off 6 at the end of the power play, and history's rather repeating itself at the moment with Curran instead of Rossington.
Well, and Stokes it in again round the wicket, bowling to Curran. Goes wide on the crease and Curran gets 4 more. Beautiful shot, very full and wide from Stokes. And Curran just steered it, really timed it beautifully between backward point and short third man. And it's raced down to the boundary for 4 more. So absolutely on fire here, Ben Curran. And Ben Stokes at the moment is proving expensive. And Durham, as I say, in a bit of trouble. And with 2 debutant bowlers in the side, in Jack Campbell and Harry Crawshaw. Not a lot of kind of experience for Cameron Bancroft to turn to in his bowlers. 66 without loss. Here's Stokes in again, bowls, and Curran's got more runs here, heaving this one away on the leg side. It won't go all the way, but it has gone for 4 more. So 3 4s in succession now from Curran. 12 off the first 3 balls of this 6th over. And 70 without loss. This is one of the best power plays that I've seen this season, having seen a couple of very, very low scoring power plays in my Worcestershire coverage last week. Extraordinary stuff from Ben Curran. 48 off 18.
This goes to show even someone with a lot of England, and he doesn't know where to bowl it really. He's bowled 3 completely different deliveries and they've all gone for 4.
That's right. What will he do now? He comes in round the wicket and bowls a slower ball, which Curran hits for 4 more.
That's his 50.
It's a very, very good shot because he's waited for that one. Slower ball from Stokes, but it was full. He waited for it, and he's reached his 50 off 19 deliveries. Ben Curran, absolutely tremendous performance from him. 10 4s and a 6, 19 balls. And
didn't fancy running.
Oh dear, man, it's fantastic effort, isn't it? Durham really have no answers at the moment. 74 without loss, still 2 balls left in the power play. Stokes in once more, bowls to Curran, another slower ball, and this time he drives it out on the offside, and it's a dot. And that's, in a way, from a Northamptonshire point of view, I suggest good to see, because he doesn't need to do anything silly now. He's got himself into a fantastic position, Ben Curran. 52 off 20. He could easily reach 100 if he stays in for another 10 overs or so. Does not need to do anything crazy. Stokes bowls to him again, Yorker, which he digs out, and he will keep the strike. Good batting again from Ben Curran, and the end of a fantastic power play from a Northamptonshire point of view. 75 without loss at the end of the power play. 17 runs coming off that Ben Stokes over, and Durham looking for some answers now. We're going to see another change in the bowling. Scott Borthwick is going to come on at the indoor cricket school end, and Cameron Bancroft, he's looking round. He's got a fairly inexperienced attack to work with tonight, Trish, and I think he's got some problems.
Yeah, you can't fault Northants here. 75 for none. Like I said, Durham had a fantastic first over, putting the pressure on. When you go to your experience and even he gets hit around, sometimes you've got to accept that actually it's Ben Curran's night tonight, and he's played some pretty decent shots. It's not slogs or anything. decent cricket shot. So you've got to think about the wicket as well.
There's the experience of Scott Borthwick coming into the attack, and the first ball is short and quick. And Curran trying to pull it, doesn't make contact. Goes into the gloves of Ned Eckersley, knocks the bails off. But Curran was in his ground. 53 to him. Here's Borthwick in, bowls to Curran. He works that away, just in front of square on the onside. There's only a single. They thought briefly about two, but Vasconcelos said one's enough. 54 to Curran, 76 for no wicket. Sun out now. It's a beautiful evening here at Wantage Road, as it was at Grace Road last night. And I have to say, Trish, my thoughts go back to the Birmingham Bears game here, what, about 3 weeks ago. Here's Borthwick in, bowls to Vasconcelos, who's going to pick up a single. Once again, turns it out to deep mid-wicket. And there's an easy single there, one more to him. 23 to Vasconcelos, 77 for no wicket. When David Ripley was saying that one of the worst parts of that was the crowd applauding when Northamptonshire managed to creep over 100, having been 82 for 9. Here's Borthwick bowling to Curran, again working it away on the onside. This is sensible batting. There's a single there, just goes behind square. Throw goes in at the bowler's end, and Scott Borthwick was nowhere to be seen. Fortunately, there was somebody backing up. 78 for no wicket, and Curran up to 55. And to see some of the spectators on their feet when Ben Curran got his 50 there off 19 balls. Borthwick in again, bowling to Vasconcelos, who heaves that away on the onside up to long on, where it's fielded by Ben Stokes. And there's another single. 24 to Vasconcelos, 79 for no wicket. Crowd getting into it. Not a huge crowd, but thoroughly enjoying themselves at the moment. Here's Borthwick in, bowls to Ben Curran, and a rare dot ball. Good ball as well from Scott Borthwick, which Curran can only play back down the pitch. Bowler himself fields, and that's a much better over for Durham. Just 4 runs off it. First over after the power play. And 79 for no wicket off 7 Northamptonshire. So still rattling on at 11.3 and over. But a much, much better over there from Scott Borthwick. And you made the point, Frank, that Cameron Bancroft doesn't have a lot of experience in his attack tonight, and he needs people like Borthwick and Stokes to really deliver, and that was a super first over from Scott Borthwick.
Yeah, he does, and he needs this man to deliver as well. Ben Rain coming into the attack at the pavilion end down below us. 44 on his back. He moves away from us now. Right arm round the wicket. Bowls short to Vasconcelos, who pulls for 4. 2 fielders out on the leg side boundary, well 3 in fact, but 2 in front of square, and he bisects them. And an excellent shot and a disappointing start from Ben Rain, but he does have plenty of experience and he can mix it up. And he'll be hoping, just making an adjustment to those leg side fielders now. He'll be hoping that 1 or 2 variations might just disturb this partnership. They need a wicket badly, Durham. As Rain comes in round the wicket, bowls short, and this one's hammered away by Vasconcelos off the back foot, but straight to Cameron Bancroft, who's fielding at extra cover, and the captain makes a diving save, and they don't get a run on this occasion. Vasconcelos 29 and Curran 55. Curran 55 off just 25 balls. His 50 coming off just 19. Rain is in, bowls, big bouncer to Vasconcelos, who pulls, hooks really I should say, for 6 over square leg. So Ben Rain has gone for 10 in his first 3 balls, and nothing that Cameron Bancroft can do can arrest the progress of this fantastic Steelbacks opening partnership at the moment, and they've raced on to 84 without loss. Only halfway through the 8th over. Tremendous batting from the 2 left-handers. And Durham struggling to get any kind of control whatsoever after the first over, which only went for 3. But since then, it's been the bat on top of the ball completely. And this one's cut away for 4 more, I think, by Vasconcelos. No, it's only for 2 because it's a brilliant diving piece of fielding on the leg side boundary. In fact, they've come back for 3. Outstanding piece of fielding out there. I think it's Sean Dixon. I'll confirm that in a minute. Anyway, 3 runs taken. It was wide from Rain. Is he going to come over the wicket? No, he's not. Batsman's moving across. He's staying around the wicket. 90 without loss of 7.4 overs. And Rain is in again. This time bowls to Curran, who cuts away again on the offside. Takes a single out to the sweeper on the offside boundary. Scoreboard seems to have just got stuck a little bit at the moment, I think.
Blown a fuse, I should think.
Yeah.
What's been going on?
Yeah, 92 without loss now. And it's gone backwards now, the scoreboard. It's on 84. Anyway, Rain round the wicket, balls, and a little reverse hit from Vasconcelos here. Played it beautifully, but hit it straight to the fielder. And that man was at backward point originally. He was a sort of backward square leg as he was playing a switch hit. And he made the stop, and there's no run. So the end of the 8th over, 93 without loss is the score. The little scoreboard is at least managing to keep up. Vasconcelos 37, Curran 56, and 14 off that over. The big overs continue. And, well, Trish, we always do this. We start looking ahead to what a score might be. I would think with 90-odd off 8, you've got to be looking for 220, haven't you? Something like that. With no wickets down as well?
With no wickets down, yeah, you've got to back them to get to 220. We know that Durham have got batsmen that can do exactly what these two are doing, so you need to get as many on. I know Cobby said at the toss that, you know, put the score on the board, it puts the pressure on the opposition. So yeah, you've got to be looking at 220 plus from here.
What's interesting, looking at Yorkshire at Headingley on Saturday night, after 8 overs, they were 73 for 1 against Northamptonshire and went on to get 224. Here's Borthwick in, bowls to Curran, goes for the reverse sweep, but just picks out the man there at short third man. And that's fielded by Ben Rain. And there's no run. Scott Borthwick having bowled a super opening over, really top-class stuff, with all his experience to bear, and just closing things down a wee bit. And now they've got a backward point and a short third man. They know where Curran likes to play, and he's gone for the reverse sweep again. This time he's got hold of it, and it's 4. Big dive by Ben Rain, but it rattles away down to the boundary in front of the new pavilion. And another boundary to Ben Curran.
And that just shows the confidence that he's got, the fact that they've just moved the field to put two players there to stop that shot, and he's going to play it anyway. Absolutely.
There's two fielders there, and he went straight between the two of them. Well, what's Borthwick got by way of a reply? 97 for no wicket. Here's Borthwick in, bowls to Curran, drops it down on the onside, just behind square, down to the man at short fine leg. And there was some bat on it, fielded by Jack Campbell. So one more to Curran, who goes up to 61, and Northamptonshire to 98 for no wicket. Borthwick in again, bowling to Vasconcelos. Again, a quicker ball. Vasconcelos just dropping it down for a single out towards mid-wicket, and it's Scott Borthwick himself who has to do the fielding because mid-wicket was out there on the boundary. And in fact, there's only one fielder in the circle on the onside, and that's the aforementioned Jack Campbell at short fine leg. So there's nobody in the ring in front of square on the onside, hence the bowler having to field it himself. Borthwick bowls to Curran. Again, just playing it down to Jack Campbell at short fine leg, and the applause you hear is for the 100 for Northamptonshire. 100 for no wicket. Vasconcelos 38 of those, Curran 62. Vasconcelos on strike, and Borthwick just beating him outside the off stump, trying to cut. Doesn't make contact, goes into Eckersley's gloves. So 9 overs gone. Northamptonshire 100 for no wicket. And those of us who watched the first few games, and Northamptonshire lost, as I say, the first 5 matches that they actually played. I might have to try the spot of pinching in a minute to see if we're actually watching this or whether we're dreaming. This is a extraordinary start by Northamptonshire, and well, I'm sure David Ripley's absolutely delighted that his thought about giving Ben Curran some white ball cricket has paid off handsomely. And So you do feel that Ben Curran has all the attributes to shine, Trish, in white ball cricket. He's got the strokes, he's got confidence, he's a real sort of up and atom personality. But in red ball cricket this year, he found some curious ways of getting out. But here, he's been quite simply magnificent.
Yeah, you can't fault anything that he's done tonight. But like we were talking about earlier, it's such a different game, and obviously probably him losing his space in the red ball and then not getting the opportunity in the white ball. He's had the opportunity to train hard, and now he's coming back and he's just showing the array of shots that he's got and the confidence that he's got.
Jack Campbell coming back into the attack at the pavilion end, moves in there, left arm over the wicket, starts with a wide one to the left-handed Curran, and after some thought, umpire Ben Debenham actually calls it wide. Had a look at it, I think just outside that little blue line, which is the guide. 101 without loss then now. Yeah, going back to Ben Curran, I think you've struck it, both of you mentioned that the C word in that little analysis, confidence. In comes Campbell again and bowls, and Curran goes for a big hit. That would have gone miles if he'd have made contact with it. He didn't, and it went through to the keeper. But going back to that word, confidence, I think that's the real thing. You know, lots of batsmen these days have got the skills, got the shots, but it's having that belief, isn't it, to just go out and play like this from the very beginning, even when you're facing, you know, a Ben Stokes or somebody of that ilk. And he's been superb tonight, Curran. 62 off 31 balls. He waits now and goes for another big hit. Just lost his head a little bit, perhaps, these last two balls. They were real big heaves. And 2 consecutive dots for Jack Campbell, whose first over was expensive. And you feel a lot better now. Very difficult for a young bowler. And Durham with 2, Crawshaw and Campbell, making their debuts tonight. Campbell in again now. Bowls to Curran, and he goes for another massive hit, and he's out, caught behind. So well bowled, Jack Campbell. And Ben Curran, perhaps we just bigged him up a little bit too much up here in the commentary box. 2 massive swing and misses, and a third attempt, and this time he's nicked it through to the keeper, Ned Eckersley, and he's caught, and it's a first wicket in senior cricket for Durham's Jack Campbell. But outstanding innings from Ben Curran, and he gets a big round of applause from the Northamptonshire faithful as he goes off. 62 he made off just 33 balls, and that included 11 fours and a 6. Much needed breakthrough for Durham. 101 for 1 in the 10th over, and the new batsman is Josh Cobb.
Yes, you called it right there, Frank. He lost his head, lost his shape, really, and just at the couple of balls at that over. It's a shame from his point of view because, as you say, and you called it earlier, there was 100 there for the taking, the way he was the strike rate, but he's gone. Josh Cobb is in, and Ricardo Vasconcelos, I'm sure, will now be looking to sort of anchor the innings and let the others play around him.
Josh Cobb to take guard against Campbell, right-hander, first right-hander we've seen. Campbell staying over the wicket. A good recovery from Campbell after that first over, went for 15, I think. He comes in now and bowls to Cobb, who's taken on the pad as he tries to work this one away on the leg side. They go through for a leg bye. Close run thing. Vasconcelos called him through. Throw came in from fielder at backward point. I think it's Clark.
Might have been tight if he'd hit.
It might have been tight. It might have been even tighter if he'd thrown to this end, because Josh Cobb set off very, very late. Anyway, they got through for a leg bye, and it takes the total on to 102 for 1. As Campbell comes in again and bowls. Now to Vasconcelos, who plays a lovely proper cricket shot, just driving this on the up through the offside. And he picks up a single, but a really good over this, I think, from Campbell. His first over went for 17, actually. And so far he's picked up that crucial wicket of Josh Cobb in this over. And he's only gone for 2 runs off the bat. Well, no, there's a wide, 1 off the bat. In he comes now. Last ball of the 10th. Bowls to Cobb. Short. Cobb heaves away on the leg side. Doesn't really get hold of it. High up on the bat. But he's going to pick up 2 runs. As the fielder on the cover on the leg side boundary comes round to field. So the end of a good over from Jack Campbell, the debutant. He picks up his first wicket in senior cricket. And after 10 overs at the halfway stage, the Steelbacks, having been put into bat, 105 for 1.
Again, I was looking at a comparison with Saturday night up at Headingley when Northamptonshire went round the park, and on that occasion, at halfway, Yorkshire were 100 for 1. So Northamptonshire 5 runs better off, and I say they then had a really terrific second half, including 29 off the last over with 4 sixes. They finished up getting 224. Here's Harry Crawshaw coming back into the attack. The other debutant, bowling round the wicket to Vasconcelos, who plays it up towards long on. And again, the bowler, with the enthusiasm and fitness of youth, sets off after it. Terrific bit of fielding off his own bowling and saves a run. Crawshaw, and again, bowling to Vasconcelos, who works it down behind square. Vasconcelos was thinking about a single again, I think, playing for the shot, but it went straight to Jack Campbell in that one saving position at backward square. And Josh Cobb wasn't going anywhere, and it was his call. So 2 dot balls to start the over from Crawshaw. Bowling again to Vasconcelos, will get a run this time as he drives it up to Ben Stokes, coming in off the boundary at long on in front of the Lynn Wilson Indoor Centre. 1 more to Vasconcelos, who goes up to 40. Northamptonshire's leading run scorer in the competition this season. Actually gone past 300 runs in the course of this innings. He was 262 at the start of the match. It's basically been him and Rob Keogh have been Northamptonshires 2 most consistent scorers. Vasconcelos was on 262, Keogh 232. Change in the field now for the right-handed Cobb. With a backward point and an extra cover on the boundary, sweeping. Another one in the ring on the offside, so just 2 saving 1. Goes for the reverse sweep. Cobb misses it. Dribbles down towards backward short leg, and they're able to pick up a leg by. As this time they do come through for the single. 1 more onto the total, but Durham have had a good little 10 minutes here. They've clawed it back well. 107 for 1. Here's Crawshaw, and again bowls to Vasconcelos, goes for the reverse sweep, and having said that, Vasconcelos gets hold of it this time, and it rattles away and hits the boundary boards down there in front of the white seats, just this side of the signal box, and goes for 4. Another boundary to Vasconcelos, 44 to him. Dreaded Nelson, 111 for 1, Northamptonshire. But in the 11th over, on this beautiful evening now at Montage Road, sun out, a high cloud. Crawshaw in again, bowls to Vasconcelos, who plays that up to Stokes again, coming in off the boundary at long on, and they're able to come through for a straightforward single. So 7 runs off the over in the end, but that's a pretty good effort from the 2 debutants. You think in the last 2 overs they've conceded just 12 and picked up a wicket, which when you think of the rate Northamptonshire were rattling along at 11 and over a little while ago, those 2 have done really well. 112 for 1 off 11, with Vasconcelos on 45, Cobb on 2.
Yeah, done well. As Andrew said, Trish, there, the 2 youngsters, I thought, that was a good over from Harry Crawshaw. He got every ball pretty much where he wanted it, just suffered from that reverse hit, which can happen to anybody, can't it?
Fantastic over, especially coming back after the previous over he had. But Campbell, I think, set the standard there in the previous one. You know, he went for 17 off the first. Few mishits from Curran that could have gone for runs, and he had the confidence just to keep putting it out there.
Here's Stokes starting a new over from the pavilion end with a wide-ish delivery, which Vasconcelos cuts out to fielder on the covered boundary. And they pick up a single. Vasconcelos going to 46 off 31 balls. He was overshadowed by his opening partner, Ben Curran, who made that magnificent 62 off 33 balls with 11 fours and a 6 before he was eventually caught behind by Ned Eckersley off the debutant Jack Campbell for 62. Josh Cobb now facing Ben Stokes for the first time, changing the field. Cameron Bancroft, the captain, is going back to long on. And Stokes comes over the wicket to the right-hander. He's in, he bowls, and this one is just steered by Josh Cobb down to third man for a single. Fielded down there by Campbell. And there, Cobb happy to give the strike to Vasconcelos at the moment. Vasconcelos going well, although one would imagine that if Cobb stays in for another couple of overs, it might well turn the other way, and Vasconcelos will let Cobb, once he's got his eye in, have most of the strike, because he's liable to score very, very quickly, the Northamptonshire captain. Stokes round the wicket to the left-handed Vasconcelos. He bowls, and Vasconcelos goes for a big hit, and he gets lucky, really, because that could have gone anywhere. Sliced it away in the air between the two fielders in front of square on the offside and out for a single, but it was loose. And just get the impression Vasconcelos wants to find some big shots and can't necessarily do so at the moment. He goes to 47 though, off 32 balls. He's played really well. Don't want to throw it away now.
It's been quite a quiet innings for him normally.
Yeah.
He's just been very watchful.
115 for 1. Stokes in, bowls, bouncer, big, loose bouncer down the leg side, called wide by umpire Ben Debenham. Score goes up to 116 for 1. Vasconcelos, 47 off 32 balls, and it's been a quiet innings for him.
It has.
Goodness knows how you would have described my innings, Trish, over the years. Goodness gracious, 47 off 32. That's the. I know what you mean, though. It's the modern game, isn't it? It's just ridiculous.
Just outshone by
rates.
outshone by Curran, who was just hitting them to all parks.
Absolutely. Stokes in again to the right-handed Cobb, moves slightly across his stumps and drives back to the bowler. Great bit of fielding off his own bowling by Stokes, driven hard into the ground, bounced up high, and Stokes just plucked it out of the air. A couple of great pieces of fielding already from the England man, but not as yet having much success with the ball. He's gone for 31 so far. 2 balls left in his third over, the 12th of the innings. Lovely sunny evening here at Wantage Road. Ben Stokes in, bowls to Cobb, short, and again this is on Cobb much more quickly than he expected, and he cloths it really, goes for a pull shot, gets it on the splice, and it just dribbles up to mid-on, and they take a single as Bancroft comes off the long-on boundary to do the fielding. 117 for 1 then.
That was just a lovely little reminder of what Ben Stokes can
what
do.
He can do, yeah, absolutely. It was a quick delivery, that one. Every now and again, he just lets them know he's got it in his locker, as they say. Comes in again now, round the wicket to Vasconcelos, bowls, and again, it's a good delivery which tucks up Vasconcelos right into his rib cage. And the left-hander played it well, actually, and managed to manufacture a single by just dropping it down on the offside. He'll keep the strike, Vasconcelos. And he's on 48 now. It's 118 for 1 off the 12th. But as you said, Andrew, just in the last 20 minutes or so, Durham have just managed to keep the lid on things, picked up that important wicket. It just shows how important it is to get a wicket when a sort of side's careered off to a start like that. And yeah, they've just got themselves back into the game, I sense here, Durham.
Well, 100 for none off 9, 118 for 1 off 12. So, yeah, just been a run of ball off the last 3. I suppose, given the start that they had, Northamptonshire will feel that they've probably got a couple of overs' grace just to rebuild a little bit and go again. But this has been a good comeback from Durham, without a doubt. And now Scott Borthwick is back into the attack. And he was bowled a very, very good opening over, just 4 off it. And here he is bowling from the indoor centre end, bowls short, and Vasconcelos is an extraordinary stroke. You'd think, given the trajectory of the ball and the length of the ball, he was going to try and pull that. In the end, it finished up at mid-off, sort of flat bat. So mistimed it with a vengeance. This time he's down the wicket, and he's timed that rather better. He still hasn't got hold of all of it, but he's got hold of enough of it to run away to the boundary at long off for 4, and that takes Ricardo Vasconcelos to 50. Another productive evening for the Northamptonshire left-handed opener. Say the leading run scorer for the Steelbacks in the competition this season so far, and he's reached his 50 there off 35 balls with a 6 and 6 fours, so rather slower than Ben Curran's. 122 for 1. Vasconcelos going for the reverse sweep, which he does middle, and it goes down to Graham Clark. Fielding down there at, was basically sweeping on the cover boundary in front of the west stand. And they're able to come through for a single. 123 for 1, Vasconcelos to 53. One of the 6s earlier on, actually going into the west stand that Ben Curran hit. And anybody was thinking of having 40 winks in there, wouldn't recommend it this evening. Josh Cobb now facing the leg spin of Scott Borthwick. And again, bowls it a little bit short of a length, and Cobb cracking it away into the covers. But there is a man inevitably out there sweeping on the cover boundary in front of the main scoreboard. And they're able to come through for a single. 5 to Cobb, 124 for 1. Borthwick flicking the ball from hand to hand, comes in and bowls to Vasconcelos, and there's an appeal for LBW as Vasconcelos is looking to swing that away on the onside, doesn't make contact. Was aiming, I think, just behind the square. Doesn't make contact and not out, says umpire Nick Cook. Pausing briefly in his conversation with somebody, I'm sure. This time is another appeal for LBW against Vasconcelos. It's a very full ball. Vasconcelos almost swinging himself off his feet, trying to hit that in much the same place, but doesn't make contact. And again, it's another good over from Borthwick, just 6 off it at the end of 13. Northamptonshire are 124 for 1. Vasconcelos is 53. Cobb is 5. But once again, still just keeping up this little record of a runner ball for the last 4 overs now. 100 off 9, 124 off 13.
And we're revising our target, Trish. What we think they might get. I mean, at one stage we said 220. I'm thinking Durham have got themselves back into it a little bit now.
Yeah, they've been bowling really, really tight. I think the main thing for Northampton is the fact they've only lost 1 wicket. I think in previous games, when we've lost 1, we've tended to lose 2 or 3. So they're going to want to try and up it where they can.
200. Ben Rain starts a new over, and Cobb swings this, but doesn't get much on it really. Thickish bottom edge out to mid-wicket. Picks up a single as fielder comes off the boundary. Sean Dixon to do the fielding. 124 for 1. Cobb goes to 6. He struggled a bit, Josh Cobb. Normally see him timing it. He's been out for a while.
This is only his second game back after missing, what, 7 matches.
It doesn't look as though he's settled in yet. Vasconcelos, on the other hand, is on 53. Waits now as rain comes in. He, again, puts a lot of effort into a shot that doesn't produce a great deal of output, and it just runs up to long on for a single. Big swing of the bat.
You would think, Frank, the stage could be set, if it's ever going to be, for Mohammed Nabi. This would be a...
Yeah.
He hasn't really fired with the bat yet for Northamptonshire, and it'd be a very good time for him to do it.
There's rain over the wicket to the right-handed Cobb. He's in short. Cobb smashes it away on the leg side, but he's only going to get 2, I think. It's a good bit of team fielding out there. And the fielding is started by the debutant Harry Crawshaw. Makes a good diving stop, and then completed by Clark, and throws it back in. 54 to Vasconcelos. 128 for 1. Cobb on 8 now, as rain over the wicket comes in and bowls to Cobb, and he drives that straight down the ground, but he's only going to get 1 because Matty Potts is quickly across from long off. Good bit of fielding. Good over so far from Ben Rain. Durham continuing to fight their way back into this game. Very important that you don't let your heads go down after a start like that. Northampton's off to such a great start. 100 without loss off 9, remember. But Cameron Bancroft has switched his bowlers around well, and since the fall of the first wicket in the 10th over, Durham have kept the lid on it, really. And they're battling their way back. Ben Rain trying to continue that. Comes round the wicket now and bowls to Vasconcelos, who moves a long, long way outside the off stump. And Rain, whether he saw him do that or carried on and bowled the same ball anyway, I don't know. But Vasconcelos ended up trying to sweep a ball that was about 18 inches outside off stump, and he missed it, and it dribbled through, slower ball as well, dribbled through on the second or third bound to Ned Eckersley. Good bowling from Ben Rain, changing the field now, putting a man out onto the deep backward square leg boundary and bringing third man up inside the circle. So 3 men on the onside, saving 1, and 1 at short fine leg, 3 men out on the leg side boundary, and 2 on the offside boundary at cover and long off as Rain is in. And that's a very, very clever shot from Vasconcelos, who capitalised on the fact that the third man had come up and got a wide ball outside his off stump, and he reverse lapped it down to fine leg for 4. Very, very clever piece of batting from Vasconcelos. Takes him to 58. Disappointing end to what was a good over from Ben Rain. In the end, 9 runs came from it. And after 14 overs, Durham are Northamptonshire are 133 for 1.
I tell you that there's one other match in the North Group tonight. That's at Edgbaston, with the Bears taking on Yorkshire. And Yorkshire are 79 for 9 after 15 overs. Carlos Brathwaite got 3 for very few early on. Here's Borthwick in again, bowling to Josh Cobb. Flat bats that away through extra cover for a single. Another good bit of fielding out there on the extra cover boundary. So they pick up 1 more run, and Northamptonshire progress to 134 for 1, with Cobb into double figures on 10. Field changing around for the left-handed Vasconcelos. Full start from Borthwick. Just looking to start his short run. Thinks better of it. Goes back to his mark, and now he's in. Bowls to Vasconcelos, who's playing that up to long on. Ben Stokes coming in off the boundary. And again, they come through for a single. 135 for 1. Vasconcelos to 59.
Just going back to that Yorkshire score, this group's like, it's like one of those groups when nobody quite wants to run away with it.
Yes.
Nobody wants, just when you think somebody's going to pull away, they get clawed back in, don't they?
Very, very tight group, isn't it? Here's Borthwick in again. Bowls to Cobb, who comes right across his stumps, drives that back to Borthwick. Well, you have to put that down as a drop, caught and bowled. But he hit that very, very hard indeed. And Scott Borthwick now has got his hands under his armpits, and I think he's done himself not a great deal of good there. That was hit very hard. It's one of those shots that you fear for the safety of the umpire.
Well, and the bowler. Because if he hadn't got his hands to that, that was right in the nose, I think.
Yeah.
That was an absolutely ferocious strike.
It's one of those where the bowler needs one of those Bruce Oxenford shields. Hit that very hard.
It'll happen one day, won't it?
Scott Borthwick's not in a good way, but he's a tough competitor, and he's gone back to his mark, and he's going to bowl again. It was dot ball, but my goodness, Cobb hit that hard. 135 for 1. Here's Borthwick in again, and Cobb once again, he's just losing his shape a little bit. It was well bowled. He put it out there, saw the way Cobb had moved right across his crease, and in the end, he finished up getting a single to mid-wicket. But it's a clever bit of bowling by Borthwick, using all his experience. 11 to Cobb, 136 for 1. It's fair to say Josh Cobb not quite back at his best yet for a long period out. And Vasconcelos aiming to cut. Scott Borthwick misses, goes through to Ned Eckersley, and everyone's having a good laugh about it because Vasconcelos gave himself so much room, he was almost off the cut strip in trying to cut that away through backward point. There are 2 fielders there for the shot. Just 3 off the over so far. Borthwick bowling to Vasconcelos again. He fires it in at the batsman, who plays it up to long on, and it's another single as it goes up to Ben Stokes. But that's a super over from Scott Borthwick, not least because of that stop that saved 4 runs. But probably did his palms will be stinging a bit for the rest of the evening, I'm sure. But just 4 runs off it, 137 for 1. 15 overs gone, so 5 left. Vasconcelos has made 60, and Cobb has made 11, and that's the end of Scott Borthwick's bowling for the evening, and his figures, as you can hear, being applauded. 4 overs, 0 for 21, and in the context, and particularly given the start that Northamptonshire had, that's really good bowling.
A really good spell here by Durham. I think Cobb's not at his best. Obviously, pressure on him coming back after missing so many games. But also, sometimes when you've had such a great start, you think you should come out and score like everybody else has. But Northampton need to get a few runs here.
Stokes round the wicket, bowl to the left-handed Vasconcelos, and he's bowled, trying to ramp him, and Stokes gets it full, and Vasconcelos misses it and loses his off stump to the England man. So really impressive fight back underway here from Durham, and the second wicket goes down at 137 in the 16th over. Ricardo Vasconcelos, the man out, bowled by Ben Stokes for 60, made off just 45 balls with 7 fours and 1 6. A good innings, an excellent innings, but one that has been ended at a good time as far as Durham are concerned. Andrew was mentioning those excellent figures from Scott Borthwick: 4 overs, no maidens, no wicket for 21. I'd add to that Sid there 105 for 1 off 10, so just 32 off the next 5 overs. That's tremendous fight back from Durham. Mohamed Nabi is the new batsman, my first sight of him, so I'm going to be quite interested to see how he goes about his business. Comes in to face Ben Stokes, who's just picked up that wicket. Stokes is in his final over, 1 for 33 so far. It's quite expensive early on, but a chance to make those figures a bit more respectable now as he comes in and bowls short to Nabi, who is off the mark immediately, pulling this away to backward square leg, but he pots the fielder. They take a single, 138 for 2. So I'm here really, it's an odd one for me really, as a Worcestershire man. I'm here as a neutral really, covering for Martin Emerson, who's away celebrating his 50th birthday.
I wonder how many bottles of Bollinger they've gone through. Other champagnes are available.
Well, he might be saving the best one to see if Durham can win this game, I suppose. Or perhaps to drown his sorrows if they don't. Here's Stokes in again, bowls to Cobb, who gives himself room, and again mistimes an attempted big hit up to mid-wicket where it's fielded by Cameron Bancroft. 138 for 2. So if you're missing Marty, I do apologise. But I'm doing my best to be neutral, to be fair, as I always try to be, but also perhaps to see things from a Durham perspective a little bit for the Durham listeners and viewers that we've got. And certainly I'd say that so far Durham have got themselves back into the game admirably after a disappointing start. Stokes bowls this one down the leg side, and it's called wide by umpire Ben Debenham. 138 for 2. If you want to get in touch, I'm at Frank Watson 58 on Twitter. Don't get in touch if you just want to tell me how much you're missing Marty, but if you've got something to say about the game, then you do, please do. And Andrew alongside me is at Old Man Rad. Lovely Wantage Road evening now as Ben Stokes moves in again to bowl to Cobb. Good Yorker, and he's bowled him really good from Ben Stokes. And Josh Cobb has gone. Second time that Stokes has uprooted a stump in this over, and the Durham fight back is well and truly underway with Northamptonshire Steelbacks now 139 for 3 in the 16th over. A double strike from Ben Stokes, and Josh Cobb has gone for 11. I keep saying that the game's changing. I'm seeing new things all the time in T20 cricket, not just in terms of strike rates and bad power plays and so on, but games seem to be swinging this year in a way that they haven't done in my experience. And you know, you see a team at 105 for 1 off 10, they might still get a very big score, but we were looking at 220 or something like that at one stage. Suddenly now looking more like a 175 180 total is possible, maybe a bit more than that, but Stokes really has changed it in this over, removing Vasconcelos for 60 and Cobb for 11, and it's really changed things. The new batsman, if Saif Saib,
Interesting putting him in ahead of Parnell, who's been batting at 4 or 5 in the matches so far.
In comes Stokes to Zabe, who steers this down to third man. He's off the mark straight away with a single. 140 for 3 then. And 1 ball left in the 16th over. A double strike from Ben Stokes, twice uprooting a stump. First to remove Ricardo Vasconcelos for 60, and a moment ago to remove an out of sorts Josh Cobb.
Yeah, struggled a little bit,
11.
didn't he?
Yeah.
Did struggle a little bit tonight.
But really good from the Durham boys. Stokes and Borthwick, senior men, have stood up when it mattered. In comes Stokes over the wicket, bowl, slower ball to Nabi, who pushes away on the onside, and there might be a run out here. Oh, there could have been if it had been a better throw. Because Nabi wanted to, Zabe wanted to, Nabi didn't, and Stokes doing his own fielding, raced out to mid-wicket, picked up through on the turn, and wasn't able to direct his throw very well, and Zabe was able to get back in. But end of another very good over from a Durham point of view. Just 4 runs coming from it. 141 for 3 is the Northants total after 16 overs, and Stokes finishes with figures of 4 overs, no maidens. 2 for 37, which doesn't sound great, but after the way he started, that was a really good comeback, Trish.
Yeah, really good. Just shows the experience there, doesn't it? He just bowled really good line and length in that over and put the pressure on, and especially coming after the last 5 overs that Northants have struggled to get runs.
His Potts bowling again from the indoor centre end, bowls to Mohammad Nabi, drives it away through extra cover and goes out to the man sweeping on the boundary in front of the main scoreboard, and they come through for a single with Nabi now up to 3 and Northamptonshire to 142 for 3. Yes, Safe Say being pushed up the order ahead of Wayne Parnell on the back of his little cameo last night, 21 not out off 11 balls with a couple of sixes, one of which we were discussing earlier, which went a very, very long way. Hit towards the Bennett end at Grace Road, clearing the sight screen. And Matty Potts just tweaking his field. 3 men out on the boundary now on the onside, long on, deep mid-wicket, deep backward square. Bowls to the left-handed Zabe, who works that into the onside. And they're only going to get a single as it goes to one of those 3 men, the one in the middle. It's Sean Dixon out there at deep mid-wicket, and they come through for 1. 2 to Zabe, 143 for 3. We've got, I think, our first hot air balloon of the season. A lot of, you tend to see quite a few hot air balloons in this part of the world on a pleasant evening, and that's what this certainly is that ball from Potts is a full toss to Nabi, who looks to carve it away through the offside, but just finds the man doing the sweeping duties. It's Dixon again, who's having a busy over.
I live just on the edge of the Cotswolds, Andrew. We get quite a lot of hot air balloons coming over, and sometimes they come quite low. And my dog, if I'm out walking him, he can't stand them. Can't work out what they are at all.
Well, we've got one just going over the spire of St Matthew's Church, over to our left. Zabe drives back past the bowler. He's just going to get a single as it goes out to long off. And the boundaries have really dried up for Northamptonshire in the last few overs, and that's down to some really excellent bowling from Durham, and also, it must be said, I think some very well set fields from Cameron Bancroft. 145 for 3. We're in the 17th over. Here's Potts in again, bowls to Nabi, who punches that, muscles it down the ground. And it's fielded by Stokes coming in off the boundary in front of the indoor centre at long off. 1 more to Nabi. 5 to him, 146 for 3. What I think will be interesting is Northamptonshire last night relying very much on spin. This is a used pitch, been used, this is the 3rd time it's been used. Here's Potts, bowling a big loopy slow bouncer that goes by outside the off stump. Above, I would have said above head height to Safe Say, but admittedly isn't the tallest. It's called as a no ball by umpire Nick Cook, and that call has not pleased Matty Potts one little bit.
Nick Cook, I've just got the binoculars on. He's got a little cheeky little smile on his face. Just imagine.
Yeah, that hasn't. I don't think that's pleased the bowler over much, but it's 2 on the total anyway. 148 for 3, and he's got to bowl that one again. comes in, bowls to Zabe, who looks to pull, doesn't really time it. He's going to get a single as it goes out to deep mid-wicket.
Ticking, isn't he,
Finishes.
Matt Potts?
It is. He's, my goodness, he's cross. He's got a couple of teammates coming up and congratulating him on the over, and snatches his cap. He really is cross about that. Anyway, the end of the over, 149 for 3, so 8 runs coming off that, with Nabi on 5, Zabe on 4, 3 overs to go, and when we were thinking about 220, you would think now probably 180 wouldn't be a bad return.
I think from now, yeah, you've got 3 overs to go. Yes, you've got wickets in hand, but we know that as soon as we start losing wickets, it's dot balls. So it's getting that balance now of trying to get as many runs as we can, but not putting pressure on the new bats.
Ben Rain round the wicket from the pavilion end, bowls to Zabe, who moves across his stumps and drives, but straight to Bancroft at cover, and there's no run. I've been struck just in the last few overs by how many batsmen have mistimed attempted big hits. Just suggests to me that the ball's just holding up a little bit in the surface. It could be clever bowling. It's happened again and again, hasn't it? We've seen really big hits and it's just not been timed. It's just been hit high up on the bat or low down on the bat. Here's Rain again, bowls to Zabe, and again he sort of digs out with a big swish of the bat, a foolish delivery, and only gets a single. Up to long on, fielded by Stokes. Good to see Stokes just running up to Matty Potts, I thought, at the end of that over, you know, and just saying, don't let it get to you, just stay calm. Bowled a good over. It's all about putting that first 10 overs out of your mind now as a Durham player and Durham bowler, and thinking we've done so well since then. 150 for 3 is the total, and we're in the 18th. And it was 100 for no wicket off 9. Rain over the wicket, bowls to Nabi and beats his attempted pull shot and uproots the middle stump, very loose from Mohammed Nabi, and it's all falling apart a little bit from a Northamptonshire point of view. And the Durham senior bowlers in particular, Borthwick, Stokes and Rain, are stepping up when it really matters. It's 150 for 4 in the 18th over, and a really outstanding fight back by Durham, with Mohammed Nabi bowled by Ben Rain for just 5. So 100 for no wicket off 9 has become 150 for 4 halfway through the 18th. Tremendous fight back by Durham. Bradley Robson's been in touch on Twitter. Durham fan here, he says, from a cricket point of view, a cracking fight back from Durham. Credit to Campbell for fighting back after early pain. Great spell from Borthwick and Stokes. Enjoying a brilliant stream. The stream here is very good at Northampton.
It is. One
of the best, I think, in terms of the visuals. Seen some stumps flying as well. Here's Rain in, bowls to the new batsman Rob Keogh, who plays a nice shot, waits for a slower ball and pulls it round, rolling his wrists on that, pulls it round to deep backward square for 2. 2 runs for Rob Keogh. He's been in good form, hasn't he, Rob Keogh?
He has, yes. He's 232 runs coming into this innings, second only to Ricardo Vasconcelos as Northamptonshire run scorers in the competition this year. Been very consistent.
I've always rated Rob Keogh. Always does well against Worcestershire. Here's Rain for Durham. Over the wicket, bowls to Keogh. Drives sweetly down the ground. Nice shot. Well timed. Picks up a single. Fielder down at long on is the debutant Harry Crawshaw. He's had a tough introduction. 2 overs have cost 20. He's actually bowled a bit better than that, I think, Crawshaw.
Don't think that
doesn't
do him justice, does it?
His second over in particular was a good over. Last ball went for 4, I think, but bowled okay. Good start for the young man. 153 for 4, 1 ball left in the 18th over. And it's Ben Rain round the wicket to the left-handed save Zabe, and he bowls, and that's wide and beautifully struck by Zabe for 6 over cover point. A flashing drive, square drive, got under the ball and hit it really, really well. Sort of shot you just never used to see, that over square cover for 6, but once he got his arms away, it was always going to be a boundary, and a very good shot. Safe save goes to 11 off 8. Keogh has 3. 2 overs left. Northants 159 for 4.
Yes, carrying on where he left off last night, of course, with that little cameo to finish the match at Grace Road. Yeah, 6 is over cover. The one, I suppose, the batsman that comes to mind, being a Northamptonshire follower of many years standing, was Wayne Larkins, who was not averse to dispatching opening bowlers over extra cover for 6. I'll just ask Jonathan Agnew. Here's Matty Potts back into the attack, and the first ball from Rob Keogh is driven up to long on for a single, 160 for 4. So 2 overs to go, and Northamptonshire, I say, revising down the estimates a bit from 220, which we were talking about earlier. I think probably they'd settle for 180 at the moment, and whether that's a par score or not, we won't really know until Northamptonshire have bowled on it. Here's Potts in again, bowls to Zabe, gives himself room, stepping away outside leg stump, drives up to extra cover, but Graham Clark is fielding out there in front of the West Stand, and they only come through for a single, 12 to Zabe, and Northamptonshire 161 for 4 at Edgbaston. In the only other match in the Northern Group being played tonight, I can tell you that Yorkshire have been bowled out for 81. Here's Potts in again, bowls to Keogh, and once again, Stump's going for a walk, off stump this time. Good Yorker, very full, and with Keogh looking to step away and drive through the offside. Doesn't make contact, he misses. And if he misses, Potts hits, off stump is out, and Keogh goes for 4, and Northamptonshire 160 for 5 in the 19th over.
The first 9 overs compared to the next lot of 9 overs is
Incredible.
completely different, isn't it? And you can't take it away from Durham. They held their nerve, and they've bowled really, really well. The fields have been they've been exactly where the bowlers are bowling to. It will be interesting to see if the wicket has slowed up just a little bit, because like you mentioned, no one seems to be timing anything. Sometimes when the lights come on, that has a little bit of an effect, but I think it's just good, really good bowling by Durham.
Yeah.
The fact that they're hitting the stumps is just showing that they're putting it in the right areas.
Yeah, they've bowled really well, I think, since halfway mark. They really have. The overs since halfway, 7, 6, 6, 9, 4, 4, 8, 10.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd settle for that in any T20.
Absolutely. Here's Potts bowling to the new batsman, Wayne Parnell. So left-hander, 2 left-handers in now, and he's forced onto the defensive. First ball, well bowled. Matty Potts again. A dot ball first up to Wayne Parnell, who I say has been batting higher up for Northamptonshire in the competition this season. So 3, 4 or 5 he's had goes at, but down at number 7 this evening. I think probably wanting to get safe Zabe in a little bit earlier. Here's Potts running in towards us with the indoor centre behind him. Bowls to Parnell, who drives up to long off, but he's only going to get a single as it goes up to the fielder just in front of the indoor centre. And that's one more. 1 to Parnell, gets him off the mark, 1 more onto the total, 162 for 5. 1 ball to go in the 19th over, so even that 180 now is looking a bit distant. Just 3 runs off this over so far. As Potts comes in and bowls to Zabe, who drives nicely, but only as far as Ben Stokes coming in off the boundary at long on. And at the end of the over, it's another single, 13 to Zabe, 163 for 5. Northamptonshire, so just 4 runs off the over, off the penultimate over of the innings. 1 to go, and well, if Northamptonshire got 180 now, I think they'd be highly delighted, because it would indicate a fairly prolific last over. It's going to be Ben Rain to bowl it. Yeah, 81 all out, the Yorkshire at Edgbaston, and the Bears, a 16 for no wicket in the 2nd over in reply, so they could have a very early evening there.
Well, I saw Worcestershire get 82 last week, and they got them knocked off in 6.2 overs, so I don't think that'll happen. That was Hales and Joe Clark at Trent Bridge. Ben Rain to bowl the last over, round the wicket to safe Zabe. Bowls, and Zabe, well, he just got caught in 5 minds there, didn't he? He started off as if he was going to ramp it, then he thought, no, I won't, and now I'll just try something else, and no, maybe I will ramp it. In the end, he made a right pickle of it, and he didn't get anything on it at all. Good dot ball to start the over. Great comeback from Durham. I've had a tweet from somebody called Derek Allen, who's a Durham fan, and he's very kindly commenting on the fact that I'm covering for Martin Emerson. I'll just say what he said in a minute. As Rain comes round the wicket, bowls to Zabe, goes for a big hit on the leg side, just gets 1, fielded out on the boundary by Scott Borthwick. They take a single. 164 for 5. Derek says, "You are doing great." Yeah, I have done this before, Derek, just not for Durham. It tickled me, that one.
Well, there you are.
But thank you very much anyway.
You'll be given the,
Thank you to the Durham fans that have been in touch.
you'll be awarded the freedom of the Roca Riviera.
Ben Rain round the wicket, 164 for 5. He comes in now to bowl to Parnell, who cuts beautifully out on the offside. He's only going to get a single. Again, straight to the field on the cover boundary. 165 for 5. But it is interesting, as I say, do get in touch at Frank Watson 58 on Twitter. It is interesting to hear from Durham fans because they've been through the mill tonight. They've been watching this, watching the first 10 overs. They'll have had their heads in their hands, I'm sure. 105 for 1, 100 for none off 9. But it's been talk about an innings of 2 halves. Incredible restriction from the Durham bowlers in this second half of the innings. Ben Rain trying to keep that going. Bowls to Zabe. He goes for a big hit but doesn't really time it. That's the story of the night, really. Great bit of fielding from Borthwick. Fantastic bit of fielding. Running in off the boundary. Full pelt. Picked it up in one hand on the run. Just as they were turning, hoping for 2, and they didn't get them. So frustration for Zabe. 15 off 13. Parnell is 2. 2 balls left. 166 for 5. And at one stage we thought they were going to get well over 200. So it's been a tremendous fight back by the men from the northeast. Ben Rain round the wicket. Bowls to Parnell, who drives out on the offside, but again only for a single. Cameron Bancroft, the fielder, at deep extra cover. This has been a brilliant last over from Ben Rain so far. Be really keen to try and finish it off now by simply not going to the boundary for this last ball. 167 for 5. Parnell 3, Zabe 15, and top bowling in the last few overs from Stokes, from Borthwick and from Rain. Last ball of the innings. Round the wicket. Rain to the left-handed Zabe. He's in, he bowls, and Zabe goes big down the ground. Has he got all of it? He has got all of it. It's gone for 6. So maybe I just put too much pressure on Ben Rain there to finish that over. And he gets struck down the ground for 6 by Saif Zabe off the very last ball of the innings. Nonetheless, Durham, I think, will go into the dressing room fairly happy in a way, because although they got a bad start, they've come back strongly and they've restricted Northamptonshire to 173 for 5, which, given they were 100 for none off 9, represents a really good fight back. And I think what I'm saying, Trish, is that when you go into a dressing room at the end of a session as a team, there's always a mood, isn't there? And if they've scored 220, that mood's a bit flat. If you come back into the game like Durham have, the mood will be quite buoyant, I think, and they'll fancy their chances of chasing this down. 174 to win.
I would say Durham probably the happier camp, if you have to put that on, because you know from that start, getting to 100 without losing a wicket and in the 10th over, and then coming back and restricting them to 173, they're going to be really happy going into this, thinking we're really back into this. It will be interesting to see how the wicket plays, because it just seemed to slow down a little bit. So Northampton's got to bowl in the right areas and put the pressure on Durham from the off. But if they get off to the start that Northampton did, it's whether Northampton have got the nerve to sort of restrict them like Durham did just then.
I think the big difference will be to one for Frank and Trish is the fact that Durham bowled. Just looking at at my notes here, apart from Harry Crawshaw bowled 1 over of spin, didn't he, in the power play?
Yeah.
And pretty much other than that, well, the other 5 overs were all seamers. Now I'm pretty sure that won't be the case when it's Northampton's turn to bowl. In each of the last, I think, 5 games, Mohamed Nabi has bowled the first over. Nabi has been the standout bowler in terms of economy for Northamptonshire in the competition so far this season. He's going at less than a run a ball, 5.9 and over in the competition so far. And Graham White has also having a really good competition. He's the leading wicket taker so far for Northamptonshire with 10. So I think you're going to see a composition of the attack being rather different. Northamptonshire have got obviously a lot of spin options, as they showed last night at at Grace Road when 15 overs of spin out of 20. So I think that's going to be a difference. And I'm just thinking back, and you know, he's always dangerous making these sort of comparisons. But I was just thinking back to the game here against the Bears, which was the third match that was played on the first pitch that they used, if you like. They played the first 3 home games on the same pitch. That was the third. On that occasion, the Bears got 170 for 3 in 20, and it was plenty. Bowled Northamptonshire out for 115. So I think it may be that it's worth a little bit more than we think it is, but it's we won't know.
We're kind of playing it down because they were 100 for none off 9,
absolutely,
aren't we? And saying that once I'm through, they should have got more. But in fact, it might be that that's a decent score. As they talk about par, you know.
But it takes absolutely nothing away from the quality of the fight back from Durham, which was absolutely first rate. Just give you the Durham bowling figures, because I know people like to keep their cards up to date. Matty Potts, 4 overs, no maidens, 1 for 29. Jack Campbell, good debut from him, 2 overs, no maidens, 1 for 21. Picked up the wicket of Ben Curran. Ben Stokes, 4 overs, no maidens, 2 for 37. Harry Crawshaw, also on debut, 2 overs, no maidens, no wicket for 20. Scott Borthwick, excellent tonight, 4 overs, no maidens, no wicket for 21. And Ben Rain, really good last over from him until the last ball went for 6. 4 overs, 1 for 43. And that stroke, Trish, that Safe Say played off the last ball of the innings, very reminiscent of the one that he played last night to just about take Northamptonshire home against Durham. Against Leicestershire, rather. Carbon copy of the stroke. Didn't go quite as far. I don't think he actually hit it quite as well as the one at Grace Road last night that sailed over the sight screen. But I think it's interesting, the fact that Safe Save was put up the order a little bit, because I know a few supporters have been saying to me, well, we think he's a bit wasted down at number 7, and he was possibly just making that point last night, and interested to see him tonight going in ahead of Wayne Parnell, for example. I
like it with him being slightly up the order. He's quite busy at the crease. He wants to be busy. He wants to be moving around his crease and running hard between the wickets. So I think sometimes he is a bit wasted, especially if we are losing wickets and he's batting with the tail, because he's kind of got to go from ball 1. So obviously last night he had a fantastic innings, and even though you would say that Northampton should have got over the line, whatever, he sort of made it a little bit more convincing by scoring the runs that he did off the balls that he faced. Maybe you could argue it would have been nice to have seen him a little bit longer today, but he did well again, scoring runs and hitting that 6 off that last over, off the last ball. Sorry, I wonder if it will go down as a slog by the analysts.
Yes, we ought to just explain that, if particularly for our Durham listeners, that the last night Safe Save hit a very big 6 at Grace Road to take Northamptonshire virtually home in the match against Leicestershire, and the analyst apparently in sort of filling in the various details, and the stroke described it as a slog, which I thought was a little unfair, but it then went out on social media and said, do you think this is a slog? And I think the general consensus was that it probably wasn't. Quite how you define a slog, Frank, I'm not sure. I suppose it's one of those where maybe the bat's not straight, more of a horizontal shot, and goes out more towards mid-wicket, I suppose, is what I always think of. Having described batsmen who played the shot against me a few times as a slogger. Mind you, the trouble was that it usually ended up about 2 fields away, so you couldn't really say too much. But
it's hard to define, isn't it? It's hard to define. It's a visual thing as much as anything,
it is.
Isn't it? It's aesthetic, isn't it? Really.
Well, it's a lovely evening. It's just clouded over a touch. We had bright sunshine out earlier on in the evening here at Wantage Road, and the floodlights were definitely not necessary. Now it's high cloud, and there's no danger of rain, I don't think, for the foreseeable. But it's a little bit cloudier, and it will be interesting to see if the ball just skids through a little bit, as the players will tell you that they under lights, and in the second innings it just hurries on, it just skids through a little bit. And Jake Lintott, certainly, when he bowled beautifully here for the Bears in that match that we were talking about a little bit earlier, he certainly got it to hurry through. And David Ripley was bemoaning the fact afterwards that the batsmen had all been saying, we know this is going to happen. And it made it absolutely no easier to handle. And on that occasion, Lintop bowling 4 overs, 4 for 20, which had a big part to play in the Bears winning that one.
It can work both ways, though, can't it? Because if you're on a pitch that's a little bit slow, or where the ball's holding up a little bit, as we suspected this one might have done when, in the middle of that innings, we saw players, you know, Josh Cobb and Ricardo Vasconcelos in particular, going for quite big hits and not really timing them. If you get a bit of skid, it can actually make it a little bit easier for the batsman.
And that's exactly what Adam Rossington said when up at Riverside a week ago, when he and Ricardo Vasconcelos put on that big opening partnership to win the game, batting second against Durham. And he said afterwards, he said we actually had the better of the conditions for exactly that reason, because it did hurry on. And it was easier to time the ball than it probably was batting first. So it can, as you say, it's one of those things that can cut both ways. It's tended here to be, I think, runs probably at Northampton this year. Runs on the board have been quite handy. That said, on Friday night, of course, Lancashire coming up, I think, probably well short of power on a pitch that played pretty well. They finished up with 130, and that was nothing like enough in the end. But it's going to be a fascinating hour and a quarter or so. And the umpires, Nick Cook and Ben Debenham, are going out to the middle, and Nick Cook's having a laugh, I think, with Northampton's head coach, David Ripley. I think whether he's suggesting that the players should actually be not out in the middle ahead of the umpires, which they were tonight. They've been out there, the bowlers in particular. They've been having a long bowl with coach Chris Liddle out on one of the strips out on the western side of the square, out towards the west stand. So it's one of the old things in the game where you used to have the captain leading the side out, and it doesn't tend to happen quite so much, and especially in these games, I say, when they're taking advantage of the chance to get a little bit of bowling practice in. But the fielders are out in the middle. They're going to have the obligatory huddle, and the Durham openers, David Bedingham and Graham Clark, are going out. Bedingham will be hoping to do rather better than he did in the corresponding fixture a week ago, when he was out second ball, caught behind off Mohammed Nabi for a duck. But the batsmen are out there. The fielders are also out there, I say, in the huddle. And Wendell has appeared with his flag, Northampton's best known supporters, with the obligatory flag at the very far end of the ground, in the seats at the front of the balcony in the indoor centre. I think one of the, I'm trying to think which game it was. I think you were, it was the one you were doing on Friday night, Trish, when one of the batsmen, I think one of the Lancashire batsmen, complained that he was putting them off. It was Friday night, and actually got him to.
I think he was sat quite close to the side screen, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was almost behind the arm, and words were said, and they just suggested that he might like to move a little bit wider, which he did. And then, of course, when the wicket fell, you can imagine he waved his flag with even more gusto than usual. It's going to be, as it has been for each, I think, the last 5 matches, Mohammed Nabi to bowl the first over for Northamptonshire. He's going to be bowling to David Bedingham, with 174 needed to win by Durham, and Nabi bowling to Bedingham down the leg side. And there was a little bit of turn there, and it's signalled a wide, of course, by umpire Nick Cook. Good take by Ricardo Vasconcelos, who came in to keep last night with Adam Rossington not playing, and Nick Cook doing a promise. It was like something out of a Busby Berkeley musical at the moment, with his waving his arms around. He lets Mohammed Nabi come through, and the first run off the bat as it's turned away out to deep mid-wicket by David Bedingham. So he's off the mark with a single. Rob Keogh fielding in front of the west stand, and Durham 2 for no wicket off 1 legal delivery. Graham Clark taking his guard from umpire Cook, and Nabi in from the far end, bowling to Clark, plays it out to backward point, where it's fielded by Wayne Parnell, and there's no run. 2 fielders out for Nabi. They're at long on the boundary and at deep mid-wicket. So Keogh's already been in the action. Here's Nabi in again. Bowls to Clark, who's gone big. He's hit it out towards long on. I don't think he's got enough of it. He hasn't, and he's been caught. And Mohammad Nabi strikes in his first over, and Clark going for a big hit. Didn't get enough of it, rather more height than distance. Tom Taylor steadying himself in front of the white seats, took the catch. Clark goes for naught, and Durham are 2 for 1.
Again, that ball, he just didn't seem to get enough of it. It sounded quite sweet off the bat, but he just held up. And then Tom Taylor getting right underneath it to take an easy catch, really.
That wasn't a great way to start the innings. You often see a spinner bowl the first over. We were talking about this the other night at Worcester, and they will go for 4 or 5, and everybody just settles down and says it. It's kind of like a negotiated start to the innings. You don't often see somebody try and hit a 6 off a spinner off their second ball, do you, or their third ball? And it was an odd one, really. I think quite surprised to see Clark take that on, and he's perished, and it's not a good start for Durham.
Well, I say Northamptonshire have got plenty of spinners in the side tonight. Last night they had Nabi and White, Cobb, Zabe, Heldrick all had a bowl. And of course they're all playing tonight because it's an unchanged side. Ben Stokes is the new batsman. He's a non-striker because the batsman crossed while that ball was in the air. Here's Nabi in bowls to Beddingham, who plays it up to Tom Taylor at long on, all along the ground. And they come through for a routine single. One more to Beddingham, who's up to 2. And Durham 3 for 1 in the first over. And now Ben Stokes taking guard. And the field changing over for the left-hander. Let's have a look and see what Nabi's got for Stokes. He's got a deep backward square on the boundary so far. And now what else has he got? He's got short fine is in the circle. And they're putting a slip in. Taylor has gone in at slip. And then mid-wicket, mid-on, in the ring, and then long off being dropped back onto the boundary. That's Graham White then. 3 in a ring, saving 1 on the offside. At extra cover, point and backward point. Round the wicket comes Nabi. Bowls first ball to Stokes, just drops it down in the crease on the onside. But Vasconcelos comes round from behind the stumps to field, and there's no run. Nabi already back at his mark. So he's been Northampton's standout bowler in the competition this year. And an early success. Big appeal for LBW, and they're imploring Nick Cook to give Ben Stokes out. Umpire Nick Cook says not out. Vasconcelos can't believe it. At the end of a good over, Stokes yet to get off the mark. David Beddingham has made 2. Graham Clark has perished. Caught by Taylor at long on off Nabi without scoring. And just as there were 3 runs off the first over of the Northamptonshire innings, 3 runs off the first over of the Durham innings. The difference being that a wicket has fallen. 3 for 1 off 1.
Quite glad that he didn't give that out. I'd like to see Ben Stokes back for a little bit. Just allow him for a little bit, and then we can get him out, I think.
Well, I just had a look at it on the replay, and I think it might just have been slipping down the leg side. Just going on with the arm a little bit, I think. It looked a good shout. I mean, you've seen them given, but I do think it was just slipping down. Anyway, second over of the innings is beginning. Tom Taylor from the pavilion end bowls to Beddingham, who drives nicely, sweetly into the covers, but he doesn't get a run. Rob Keogh, the fielder, I think at cover point.
I think what they were really excited about that, having watched it myself on the replays, it hit it back leg, and they always get a bit excited then, doesn't it, when it's back leg? But I think you're right. My take on that was probably just shading down.
Taylor again turns, number 12 on his back. Straight approach of about 15 yards. He's in, he bowls. Beddingham works this one to mid-wicket, but no run again. Fielded there by Curran. So, good start for the Steelbacks. Wicket in the first over, 2 dots from Taylor. Just a little bit of scoreboard pressure already building on these Durham batsmen. Target, remember, is 174. Beddingham waits, slightly open stance, right-hander. And he whips this one away off his pads down to long leg. Saves Davies charging round from deep backward square to do the fielding. Or from mid-wicket to deep backward square. They get 2. Beddingham is 4. Don't know if you've seen much of Beddingham, Trish, but he's an exciting ball striker as well. Really good player. Hits the ball hard, but he's pretty conventional too. He's pretty stylish. And heavy run scorer in red ball cricket this season for Durham. Very, very good player to watch.
No, I haven't seen much of him at all. So again, I don't mind him batting for a little bit, and then
yeah, he's a good player. As I say, slightly open stance, left foot sort of back behind his right, as it were, laterally. And he goes for a big hit on the leg side. You're not going to see much of him, are you? No, he's caught. It's a brilliant catch by Wayne Parnell. Takes a little bow to the crowd as well, running back over his right shoulder. Beddingham went for the big hit, mistimed it, as we suggested a lot of batsmen have done so far tonight, but he still got quite a bit of it, and Parnell had a lot to do, running back over his right shoulder and clawed it out of the air and then tumbled to the ground. Really, really good catch. And Beddingham has gone for 4. Great start for the Steelbacks. Dismal start for Durham. They're 5 for 2 in the second over. Top-class fielding from Wayne Parnell.
he just never looked like he was going to take that. It seemed like it was just constantly going away from him. But that's an amazing catch, going back over the top of him.
That's a quality. I tell you what, we shall see a bit of that on social media, won't we?
And I love the little bow, he did to the
yeah.
crowd as well. It wasn't too much of a celebration. It wasn't over the top. It was
he caught it
nice.
right in front of the Spencer Pavilion, where there have been a lot of Northamptonshire supporters down there, and the little bow was a nice touch.
One of my favourite cricketers, Wayne Parnell, had some good years at New Road.
Yes,
and he was instrumental in Worcestershire's T20 victory 3 years ago, and
he's a
wholehearted player.
He's a really engaging personality as well. Great to talk to, and from our point of view, always good for a chat about the game and very thoughtful analysis.
Well, the batsman crossed. Cameron Bancroft is the new batsman, but he's non-striker. Ben Stokes is on strike, and he faces now as Taylor bowls to him, and he works this one up to mid-on. And there's no run. Durham with a lot to do now. 5 for 2 in the second over. 174 the target. Seems like a different game completely from what we saw in the first 45 minutes or the first hour tonight, when Curran and Vasconcelos were smashing it to all parts. Completely different. Batsmen struggling to time it, or so it seems. But to be fair, maybe we could say in the case of both Clark and Beddingham, they didn't really give themselves a chance to get in and get used to the pace of it before they tried to take it on. Here's Taylor into Stokes. And Stokes is out, caught behind. Good delivery from Taylor. Stokes just pushes at it. Regulation, outside edge. And Vasconcelos dives to his left and takes a comfortable catch. Saw it all the way. And that is a tremendous blow as far as Tom Taylor is concerned. Ben Stokes is dismissed without scoring, and Durham are in oceans of trouble. They are 5 for 3 at the end of the second over.
Yeah, just watching that on the replay, it was just a good ball, and Ben Stokes playing it properly.
Yeah.
Just drawn into playing it. If it had been with the red ball, we'd have been saying what a terrific delivery that was.
It was a red ball dismissal.
It was.
Yeah,
it absolutely was. But it was a good catch as well. As I say, Ricardo Vasconcelos hasn't kept wicket much this year. He brought in to keep last night and spent a lot of time before the match with David Ripley practising his diving around. Well, he took that one well, and Northamptonshire have made a good start. There's plenty of depth in this Durham batting lineup, but certainly Northamptonshire have made some important inroads. I was just thinking, well, if they need to shift one of Stokes and Bancroft fairly soon,
Maybe I should say that I'd like to watch them for a little bit.
I'd really like to see Cameron Bancroft.
Good player, Bancroft.
Well, here's Graham White, and I say he's Northampton's leading wicket taker in the competition so far this year, left-arm spinner. And he's also closing in on a bit of a personal milestone. He's bowling with a slip to Cameron Bancroft, and Bancroft is working that away crisply out to deep mid-wicket, Rob Keogh Fields, and Bancroft is away with a single, and Durham 6 for 3. Graham White now on 72 T20 wickets for Northamptonshire, just one behind the leader of that particular list, David Willey, who's taken 73 before moving on. Here's White round the wicket again, bowls to Dixon, who is off the mark with a tight single up to mid-on, but it's fair enough, they went straight away, and Josh Cobb was fielding there on the edge of the circle. Not quite quick enough in to stop the single. I think it was always on, to be honest, if they went straight away. Here's White in again, bowls to Bancroft, down the wicket, and that's a super shot. He's on-driven that. First bounce for 4. And that's a good statement of intent from Durham's Australian captain. Down the pitch, a couple of steps, and lofts it over Cobb at mid-on. First bounce for 4, and Durham up to 11 for 3.
Intelligent shot.
It was.
Fielders come up. There was no danger whatsoever, was there, in that shot?
Yeah, it was super execution.
That's why I'm still thinking back to that shot that Clark played in the first over. You know, with a man back. You know, Nabi had a man back at long on from ball 1. He still took it on, didn't he? Very odd.
It was a strange one, but I'm sure Graham Clark would have had a plan in mind. Here's White. What's his response going to be? And again, Bancroft down the wicket, and he's caught at mid-on by Josh Cobb. And Bancroft, having just said what an intelligent stroke the previous one was, he tried exactly the same shot, 2 steps down the pitch, but didn't get the elevation, didn't hit it as well, and it just went straight into Josh Cobb's hands at mid-on. And Bancroft goes, and Durham now reeling at 11 for 4, and Graham White has now equalled David Willey's record of all-time T20 wickets for Northamptonshire. That's his 73rd. He's now equal with David Willey. So the next one, whether he gets it tonight or one of the other matches remaining in the season, will put him clear at the top of the list. But he'll be pleased with that one, as are Northamptonshire, with Durham 11 for 4.
Well, I'm indebted to Martin Emerson for his pre-match notes, because I did notice that the lowest that Durham have ever got against Northamptonshire was here in 2018, 124 for 8. So they're in danger of threatening that, I would think.
Well,
11 for 4.
Way to go,
it's
but
remarkable.
Nevertheless, it's a bit of a dream start. It's just, I was saying earlier on, if you were listening to our commentary, that from a Northamptonshire follower, it was slightly hard to believe what we were seeing when Northamptonshire were 100 for no wicket off 9. Equally, it's a little hard to believe what we're seeing here with Durham 11 for 4. New batsman is Ned Eckersley. He faces Graham White, and Eckersley is away just with a nice calm push up to long off, where it's fielded by Tom Taylor. And he's away with a single, and Durham 12 for 4.
Second time in a week I've seen team 11 for 4.
You're a jinx, Frank.
Worcestershire 11 for 4 at Trent Bridge a couple of weeks ago. Well, last week. Incredible.
Frank Jonah Watson. Here's White round the wicket again, bowling to Dixon, who's going to pick up another run as he just drops that down on the onside. It's Rob Keogh comes in from mid-wicket, bounces the ball into Ricardo Vasconcelos. And that's the end of a successful over for Graham White, his first, and the one that sees him move level with David Willey at the top of Northamptonshire's all-time T20 wicket-takers list. And at the end of 3 overs, Durham are 13 for 4, needing another 161 to win in 17 overs, but now with just 6 wickets in hand.
Yeah, hard to believe what you're watching, isn't it, Trish?
It is, considering a couple of hours ago, Northants were absolutely flying, to then be Durham to bowl some really, really good overs to drag it back, to then kind of a few silly shots there. Like we said,
Yeah.
Ben Stokes' delivery was a good one. He got dragged into the shot, and it's one of those things. But, you know, 3 being caught in the first 3 overs is disappointing to see, really.
Tom Taylor in there, bowls, and this one is pushed out on the onside by Dixon to mid-wicket. There's no run. Yeah, it's one. If you're chasing 230 or something, you've got to go absolutely big from the start. Then I think it's different. But if you're chasing 170 odd, you know, it's like we were talking about at the very top of the game, isn't it? About the power play. You just want to get through that power play. You know, 40 for 1, 40 for 2, something like that. Give yourself a base. They just seem to have gone too big too soon, Durham, in my opinion. 13 for 4 at the moment as Taylor comes in bowls, and this one is turned on the onside by Dixon. And again, it goes straight to the fielder at mid-wicket, and there's no run. Sean Dixon, he's been in decent form in this competition. 50 odd against Northamptonshire, 51 not out in the
played well.
game up at the Riverside.
Also made a triple century in the championship for Kent against Northamptonshire at Beckenham, 4 years ago.
Right. Well, there you go. He's got previous.
Yes.
Anyway, he's only on 2 at the moment, and he's in a bit of a pickle as far as the team's concerned. As Taylor bangs this one in short, goes over the batsman's shoulder, and umpire Nick Cook at square leg signals no ball, and umpire Ben Debenham at this end sees that.
I can tell you that.
Makes the call.
Sorry, Frank. I can tell you that Edgbaston, the Bears have beaten Yorkshire by 10 wickets with 11 overs and 3 balls to spare. It was all over.
That's big.
86 for no wicket in 8.3 overs.
That's big. It's often the way, isn't it, when you're chasing a low total, it gives such confidence. It's Taylor in, bowl, short to Dixon, who pulls away on the onside. Is he going to get 4? No, he's not. There's a very good sliding stop by Zabe. In fact, they only get 2. That's really good fielding by Zabe. Charging around the boundary. Not only sliding and stopping it, but then springing to his feet and firing the throw back in. They started on the 3rd run, both batsmen, and then realised they weren't going to get there. 17 for 4. Runs are hard to come by for Durham at the moment. We're halfway through the 4th over.
It's also hard for the batsman to know what to do here.
Absolutely.
Obviously, there's not going to shut up shop and think that the game's gone, but it's about picking the balls to hit off.
Here's Taylor in again. Bowls to Dixon, who dabs this down to 3rd man. He's run the first one very quickly, thinking about the second, but decides against it as the fielder, Freddie Heldrick, comes in from 3rd man to do the fielding. So Dixon goes to 5, 18 for 4. Yeah, you're right, Trish. I agree. It's hard for them to know what to do, and I think the answer is they've just got to settle things down for 4 or 5 overs, even if they only pick up 20 or 30. Don't lose another wicket, and see where you are, because otherwise it could all be over very quickly. You find yourself 6 down after 7 or 8 overs. Got very little chance. Taylor in, bowls to Eckersley, who he mistimes it again, doesn't he? He's just, again, it might suggesting that Taylor might just have taken the pace off it, but I think the batsmen are finding this surface quite difficult, which just makes that first 9, 10 overs tonight look ridiculous.
Yeah.
When you think how Curran struck the ball at the beginning, 62 off 33 balls. His 50 came off 19 balls. And we thought, oh, you know, flat pitch, everybody's going to whack it around, they'll get 200. In fact, it's looked very different from that since he was out. There's Taylor in, and he bowls, and that's an absolute jaffer. A leg break.
Yes.
A leg cutter from Tom Taylor, which beat the proffered forward push of Ned Eckersley and went through to the keeper. Taylor's bowling as though he's got a red ball in his hand, not a white one. 18 for 4 at the end of 4 overs. Just 5 runs coming from that one. Really good over from Tom Taylor. And the Steelbacks are turning the screw here. Yeah, Durham are in real trouble. 174 the target, 18 for 4 off 4.
That hugely important championship match coming up for Northamptonshire against Yorkshire starting on Sunday. Northamptonshire won't want Tom Taylor to use all those up, as they will do with do a few of those against the Tykes come the weekend. Wayne Parnell coming into the attack, already made an impact on the innings with that astonishing catch, terrific catch to get rid of David Beddingham. It was an absolutely terrific catch coming over his head, and as Trish said at the time, it just all the time you just think that's going away from him. He's not going to get there.
No. Brilliant.
And he just stretched out, caught it, and bowed to the crowd. And he's into the attack now. Left arm over from the far end bowls, and it's going to get a wicket. Oh, he's not going to get a wicket quite, as Dixon pulling and getting just splicing it, and it dropped tantalisingly close to Freddie Heldrick, running round from backward square.
Pitch again.
Just stuck in the pitch a little bit, and Dixon was through his shot, and it looped up, and I thought it was just going to hang in the air and the field was going to get underneath it. In the end, it dropped about a yard away from him. 19 for 4. Dixon up to 6. Eckersley facing. Parnell bowls short, and he has pulled that one, and he's pulled it very well, and it's gone first bounce for 4. Super shot from Ned Eckersley. That one just sat up obligingly, and Eckersley dispatching it. Obviously the power play field still in place, and that just rattled away, and I think, I'm just looking to see where it's gone. I think it may have, oh, it's right, it went out into the service road round the back. Now a steward has gone to pick it up, and now that means that Rob Keogh has had to kick it to umpire Nick Cook to be sanitised, because of course somebody else has handled it. So Nick Cook displaying his silky soccer skills. Turned 65 earlier this month, Nick. And great servant, of course, to Northamptonshire, and before that to Leicestershire. 23 for 4. Here's Eckersley facing this ball from Parnell. He's spliced it just over, and it's looped over Parnell's head off a leading edge, and has hit the stumps at the non-striker's end. And, well, if Parnell had managed to get a fingertip on it, then the non-striker Sean Dixon would have been struggling. As it was, he didn't. And they scamper through for a single. So the start of this over from Wayne Parnell has been nothing if not eventful. Single to Eckersley, 6 to him, 24 for 4. We're in the 5th over. Here's Parnell bowling, and that's an attempted off drive rather by Dixon that goes up to mid-on off a thick inside edge, and is fielded there by Tom Taylor, and they're through for a single. Dixon up to 7, and Durham to 25 for 4, having lost Clark for 0. That was 2 for 1. Beddingham for 4. That was 5 for 2. Stokes for 0. 5 for 3. Bancroft for 5. 11 for 4. Here's Parnell in again. Bowls very full, and that's a nice on drive from Ned Eckersley, but he's only going to get a single as it goes up to Tom Taylor at mid-on. Eckersley up to 7, and Durham to 26 for 4. If you're just joining us, you're listening to T20 Blast Cricket on the BBC with Andrew Rad, Frank Watson and Trish Hankins here at Wantage Road. Northamptonshire having posted 173 for 5 in their 20 overs. Durham 26 for 4 in reply in the 5th. Make that 27 for 4 as it's chopped down to third man by Sean Dixon. Fielded by Brandon Glover coming in off the boundary. And that's the end of an eventful first over for Wayne Parnell, and from Durham's point of view, in fact, quite a productive one. 9 off that one. And with 5 overs gone, Durham 27 for 4. And this is interesting, Trish, because I think they're going to keep Tom Taylor going. He's bowled a couple, and this would be his 3rd. And he's bowled, I have to say, very, very well. And is he going to stay on? Yeah, I think he is. They're going to give him a 3rd.
I quite like it. He's been putting it in the right areas. Obviously, getting the big wicket of Stokes. Why not give him one more? Maybe save him another one. You've still got Glover that they obviously didn't bowl last night, and then plenty of spin options.
Well, it is Tom Taylor from the pavilion end. He's in now, bowl short, and that's heaved away by Dixon for 4. That was a long hop. First bad ball he's bowled, first really bad ball he's bowled, and Dixon, as I said, maybe one or two of the others didn't give themselves time to just get in and get used to the pace of the pitch. Looks as though he might just have done so. I know he's only faced 11 balls, but it's just enough time to just get used to it, and he was onto that quickly, pulled it away over mid-wicket for 4. So he moves on to 12. Only batsman so far in double figures in this innings, and it's 31 for 4 in the 6th. Remember the target is 174. Can't write anything off, but at the moment Durham are in a pickle. As Taylor again is in and bowls, and Dixon comes down the pitch to this one. Taylor sees him coming, drops it in short, and Dixon pulls, and they take a single. Eckersley was hoping for 2, but he's not going to get 2 because, again, really good quick fielding by Safe Zabe running round. He's only a small man, Zabe, but he covers the ground so quickly, doesn't he, in that sort of sweeper roll out on, well, either leg or offside. And I think his fleetness of foot has presented 2 or 3 runs already in this innings. 32 for 4. Most sides tend to have somebody who can do that job now. Here's Taylor in to bowl to Eckersley, who swivels round on this and plays a good-looking hook shot, but straight to the fielder at deep backward square leg, and they only get a single. He goes to 8. Total goes to 33 for 4. A little bit gloomier now than it was earlier, but the floodlights are taking good effect. The light is pretty good out there. And Northamptonshire enjoying their second very good power play of the evening. The first one 75 without loss in their innings. And now we're in the last over of the power play, and Durham are 33 for 4. As Taylor is in and bowls, and this one is clipped away on the leg side by Dixon. They take 1, they come back for 2 this time, despite Zabe being quick. He's not quick enough to prevent them from getting 2. He had a long way to come in, to be fair. And Dixon goes on to 15, 35 for 4. If you're just joining us, we saw an innings of 2 halves from the Steelbacks, 105 for 1 at the halfway stage, but pegged back by good Durham bowling, ended up 173 for 5. But Durham have had a disastrous start. They were 11 for 4 in the 3rd over, and now 35 for 4 as Taylor comes in and bowls, and that's a magnificent shot by Dixon, giving himself room. Taylor dropping it short, Dixon with his arms free, able to just slash it away on the offside. Magnificent square cut really for 4, and he goes to 19. Looks in the mood, Dixon. 39 for 4. I'll say it again, Trish, he's just given himself the chance by having a look at a few before he started trying to go big, which is not what we saw, well, certainly from Clark and Beddingham.
He's waited for the balls to hit, hasn't he?
Well, excuse Stokes, he was done by Gooden, I think. Taylor comes in, bangs this one in short. Good bowling, ducked underneath by Dixon, so he gets out of the over, Taylor, very nicely there. But it was a good over for Durham. 12 runs came from it. The power play is over. They're 39 for 4. If they'd only lost a couple of wickets, I'd say it wasn't too bad a power play. But they've still got a lot to do. 39 for 4 after 6.
Looking at Sean Dixon, they played very well against Northamptonshire a week ago up at Riverside. 51 not out off 37 balls with 2 6s and 4 4s. And again, he came in at a time when Durham was struggling. They were 57 for 4 when he went in. And he and Cameron Bancroft initially pulled it round, and then a little flourish at the end with Bryden Carse. Of course, he's not playing this evening. So Dixon will know a bit about this attack. And now outside the power play, Graham White. Back in the attack from the far end, the indoor centre end, bowls his first ball of this over to Ned Eckersley short. And he pulls it out to deep mid-wicket, where it's fielded by Rob Keogh. Out there in front of just the edge of the west stand, and they come through for a single. Eckersley up to 9 and Durham to 40 for 4. White in again, bowling this time to Dixon, who plays that up to long on. There's a long on the boundary, which is safe Zabe, and they've come through for another single. So sensible batting by these two, just looking to rebuild. 41 for 4. Dixon up to 20. White. Northampton just joint leading wicket taker now in T20 cricket. Bowls, and he might get another one here. It's gone up a long, long way. And he's caught on the boundary by Ben Curran. And that is the wicket of Ned Eckersley, who goes for 9. Durham are 41 for 5, and now Graham White is on his own as Northamptonshire's leading wicket taker in T20 cricket. That is his 74th T20 wicket for Northamptonshire, and that means he is now top of the list on his own. And in point of view of the match, well, again, it's another very handy wicket. It was a big swing, just got a top edge, and it was a good catch in the end by Ben Curran. He looked for a moment as though he'd lost it in the lights, but he managed to shield his eyes and just stumbled a little bit as he took it, but he held on, and that's a big wicket. Eckersley going for 9, and Durham 41 for 5.
Yeah, it's going to take some recovering from here. I did see an incredible recovery by Yorkshire at Headingley last week against Worcestershire when they had a magnificent partnership for the 6th wicket. They were actually in real trouble at 50 for 5, but they ended up getting 191 for 5. I don't think that's going to happen tonight.
Ben Rain is the new batsman, but it's Dixon facing, and almost went as he carved that away to backward point, and it was Mohammed Nabi fielding there. Didn't quite get to him. Dived away to his left. I think he might just have got a finger to it, judging by the fact that he's looking rather ruefully at his left hand. But Dixon got away with that one. In fact, he's going to have to come off. I think he might just have just done the nail or something. Off, yeah. Or so, yeah, he's trying to sort of scoop that up. It barely carried to him. But my goodness, that would have been a huge blow if Durham had lost 2 in 2 balls, and with Dixon really there. I won't say their last hope because they've got other capable players to come, but they really need Sean Dixon to take this fairly deep, you would think. 43 for 5, Dixon up to 22. Here's White in again, bowling to him, and he just pushes that out in the offside go through for a very quick single, well judged single, because Josh Cobb was fairly deep there on the edge of the circle, so there was one there if they went straight away, which they did. So Dixon up to 23, and Durham to 44 for 5. Ben Rain, the left-hander, now taking strike. And the field that he's facing is a deep, he's got 2 men out on the leg side boundary now, deep backward square and a deep mid-wicket. He's off the mark, playing that up towards long on, and he's away with a single, 1 more to the total. 45 for 5, Durham, at the end of a successful over for Graham White, one that's created a little bit of Northamptonshire T20 history. 6 runs off it and a wicket, 7 gone. And Durham 45 for 5, Dixon is 23, Rain is 1.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see another left-arm spinner, aren't we? Freddie Heldrick. Yeah. First into the attack. First time I've seen him.
It's his first team game at Northampton, because he's played 2 games, both away from home. So this is his home debut, so a special moment for him.
Yeah, and the crowd will be looking forward to seeing him. I'm sure they've seen him on the live streams probably in the last couple of games, but he's coming in. Nice time to come on for a youngster. What a difference from poor old Harry Crawshaw when he came on for Durham. Very different situation. I thought Crawshaw did well.
He's also bowling to Ben Rain, who was the man he got out to take his first team wicket at Riverside last week.
But he's a different kind of bowler too as well, because he's a wrist spinner, isn't he?
He is.
Left arm wrist spinner. You don't see many of those around, as they say. And he comes over the wicket. He bowls to Rain, and his first ball is hit down the ground and lands just short of fielder at long off. Long on, I should say, and they get a single, but it was iffy, wasn't it, for a minute? 46 for 5. Rain goes to 2. Dixon on 23. Stays over the wicket too and bowls. This one's slightly short outside the off stump. Dixon tries to cut it, but it drops down on the offside. when there's no run. Good start by Heldrick. Good start for a wrist spinner if you land your first two. Simple as that, isn't it, really? And they were both of reasonable length as well. He comes in again now. Shortish straight approach, quite tall. Bowls, nicely bowled. On leg stump, just worked by Dixon up to long on. And they get a single, 47 for 5. Singles are not a problem for Josh Cobb and his men at the moment. Having said that, Durham have just got to stabilise things just a little bit. Heldrick again. Tosses the ball from one hand to the other. Comes in and bowls. The left arm wrist spinner. Whipped away off his pads by Ben Rain. Down to long leg. They take a single. 48 for 5. Rain goes to 3. Dixon has 24. The men out. Clark 0. Beddingham 4. Stokes 0. Bancroft 5. And Eckersley 9. So still Dixon the only man to reach double figures for Durham tonight. Heldrick is in once more and bowls, and this one is driven into the ground by Dixon and it lobs up in the air and is fielded by the bowler off his own bowling. Good start for him. One ball left in his first over. Heldrick is in, he bowls, and it's a dot ball as Dixon tries a reverse sweep but misses it, and it's taken behind the stumps by Vasconcelos. So good start by Heldrick.
That will calm any nerves.
Yeah,
although he's played a couple of
absolutely.
games, it's obviously his first one here. I think there's a few people in supporting him because you can hear them shouting his name. So
just 3 runs from the over.
But like you said, he's got a fantastic start behind him. And
yeah,
like,
nice time to bowl.
Yeah, and like what the two debutants had in the first innings.
Well, it's going to be Graham White to continue from the far end, from the indoor centre end. 2 overs, 2 for 14 so far for the left arm spinner. Graham White, already Northamptonshire's leading wicket taker in the competition this year, and he's already added a couple of victims to his bag. Bancroft and Eckersley. Here he is again, bowling over the wicket to the left-handed Rain, who's hit that out towards deep mid-wicket. He should be out. He is out. And that's a 3rd wicket for Graham White. And the catch on the boundary there by Rob Keogh, who doesn't miss many. He takes the catch. And Ben Rain goes. And Durham now, well, I won't say they're out, but they're certainly down 48 for 6.
Yeah. Again, we see an attempted big hit, not really timed, not really picked up. And that's been the story of the night, really, as far as all the batsmen are concerned, with probably 2 exceptions, Curran and Vasconcelos. I don't think anybody else has managed really to time the ball consistently. And I think that's what we're probably going to find when we talk to players, coaches, perhaps at the end of the game, is that they found this pitch a little bit trickier than they might have thought when they watched Northampton set off.
I was going to say, how do we explain that first 9 overs?
Extraordinary, isn't it? I think we explain it. We talked about confidence, didn't we? Curran just set about it, didn't he? He was in the mood, got a couple away early on.
Wants to prove something.
Yeah.
And you could even argue Ricardo's still doing a little bit of that, as much as he's had a really good start since he's been up the order.
Yeah, it's a good point. Here's White round the wicket bowling to Dixon, who gives himself room, cracks it away through extra cover. They come through for 1. They're going to come back for 2. The new batsman is Scott Borthwick, who bowled beautifully earlier on, bowled his leg spin 4 overs for 21 and helped to slow down the Northamptonshire scoring rate. That's the 50 up for Durham, greeted with rapturous applause, as you can hear. 50 for 6 in the 9th over. And Graham White almost in his delivery stride when he realised that Scott Dixon wasn't ready, and neither were the fielders. They've now got in 2 men at backward point, Mohammed Nabi and Parnell is in there as well. White bowls to Dixon, who drives up to extra cover. And it's fielded by Josh Cobb. Northampton's captain, just exhorting his players to even greater efforts, but he must be reasonably happy with the way things are looking at the moment. Here's White in again, round the wicket bowls to Dixon, who sort of hacks that away. White thought, I don't think it was quite as short as he thought it was, and in the end he just had to muscle it up to mid-wicket for a single. 27 to Dixon, 51 for 6. And now Scott Borthwick, the left-hander, about to face his first ball from Graham White. 3 men out on the boundary on the onside, deep backward square, deep mid-wicket, long on, long off, and deep extra. Those are the men on the boundary, and that's short, and it's pulled away by Scott Borthwick for a single. Brandon Glover almost sort of overrunning the ball there, but he managed to stop it okay. Sends in a good return. We've hardly mentioned Brandon Glover this evening. It was pretty much the same as last night. Josh Cobb said then he was playing as a professional fielder. Didn't bowl last night, hasn't bowled yet tonight. Is White in again. Bowls to Dixon, who just has to play that defensively. Back down the pitch. Another tidy over from Graham White, who's been excellent again this evening. Just 4 runs off it. And the wicket of Ben Rain. And at the end of that over, Durham 52 for 6, 9 overs gone. So the equation is 122 more runs needed. Just 11 overs left, 4 wickets in hand. So Durham needing to score at what, 11 and over if they're going to win this. And this table, with the victory, big victory tonight for the Bears against Yorkshire, that means that they're staying on 13 points. And were Northamptonshire to win this, and of course there's still a bit to do, but were they to win this, they would go up to 9 points from 11, and not quite as far adrift as they were.
No, that's right. It's very interesting. Just when you think a team can get away, they get clawed back in, don't they? Here's Freddie Heldrick from the pavilion end, bowls down the leg side to the left-handed Borthwick, who tries to paddle that away. Not called wide, might just have flicked the pad. Lot to do for Dixon and Borthwick, you imagine, really. If any challenge of any kind is going to be mounted. Heldrick in, bowls again, and this one is driven out on the offside by Borthwick. Well, bowled by Heldrick again. Been impressed by him so far. He's landed everything, and he looks quite a confident young man. As we said, very nice time for a young spinner to come on and bowl. But even so, he's done well. He comes in again now. No number on his back. This is his first bad ball. We dropped it short, but pulled away by Dixon. But he only gets, no, I was going to say he only gets a single, but in fact there's a very rare misfield at mid-on. Coming in off the boundary. Can't see who it is.
That is Graham White.
Graham White, thought it was. And he was picking it up with his wrong hand. Although he throws right-handed, doesn't he, even though he bowls left. Anyway, they got 2. Heldrick bowls again, and Dixon drives out on the offside uppishly. Get a single. Slade comes off the boundary to do the fielding, and his throw hits the stumps. They've been watered well, those stumps at that far end. They only needs a touch, and they're out of the ground. We saw that happen twice earlier on when Ben Stokes was bowling, and the throw came in, hit the stumps, and immediately uprooted it. Nick Cook comes in from his position at cover point to straighten up the timbers. Goes back out now. He's at square leg now because the left-hander on strike. 56 for 6. Heldrick to bowl to Borthwick, who's on 2. He's in, he bowls, and Borthwick pushes this out on the onside. And there's no run.
Okay, see the faith his captain's got, and he's even got to slip him for him.
You could, but you know, it's almost impossible for these batsmen now, isn't it? Because if they don't do something drastic, they're not going to get anywhere near. If they get out playing a loose shot, they're going to look foolish. It's a nightmare situation, really, isn't it? Here's Heldrick again, bowls, Borthwick drives. Good shot, well fielded by the bowler off his own bowling, diving to his right. They still get a single, but he's saved 3, I think, because that was pretty straight and it was travelling. Ruefully shakes his fingers at the end of the over, but another good over from Heldrick. 57 for 6 at the halfway point. And that's really, really good bowling again from the Steelbacks. They're in good shape here.
I have to say, Trish, this is the most animated I've seen it or heard any Northampton crowd since spectators were allowed back in what, about a month ago. It's they're really getting into the game tonight.
Yeah, I think obviously the first 9 overs got everyone going, and then it sort of went down a little bit, but then Durham were getting wickets, so that there was a few people enjoying that, and then you can't exactly fault Northants for this start. I think requiring 11.7 and over, you probably would have said, yeah, that's about par for the first 9 overs in this game, but from then on it's been a struggle.
Well, here's Brandon Glover. He's going to have his first bowl of the night. Having not bowled last night either, and his first ball to Scott Borthwick is a bit short, and it's pulled away down to deep mid-wicket, where it's fielded by Rob Keogh out there on the mid-wicket boundary, and they come through for comfortable single. Borthwick is 4, and Durham 58 for 6. I'm told by our comms team here at Northamptonshire that there's some footage of the other 2 Curran brothers, Sam and Tom, watching Ben bat in the England team hotel, which is quite nice, earlier this evening. Here's Glover bowling very full, and it hits Dixon on the pad. There's an appeal for LBW, but I think he probably got some bat on it, and indeed he did, because there's no signal from umpire Nick Cook.
Stumps out again.
The stumps once again, yes. Yes, I think it was just Vasconcelos. It's a bit like in that episode of Dad's Army when they're playing cricket and Corporal Jones keeps knocking all the stumps out of the ground. It's a little bit like that tonight. Anyway, 60 for 6, Durham, with a couple of runs there for Sean Dixon. Very full. Glover has pace, that's his big attribute. Bowled beautifully, a couple of super overs up here against Lancashire last Friday night. Here's Glover in again, bowls again very full to Dixon. It's driven up to mid-off where it's fielded by Josh Cobb, and there's no run. So he didn't bowl last night, and bowled just 3 overs up at Headingley in the carnage up there when Yorkshire made 224 for 3 in their 20 overs. Although he did pick up the wicket of Jordan Thompson, who was the most destructive of the Yorkshire batsmen. But Glover, Netherlands international, but South African born, running in from the far end, bowls, and that's pulled away by Dixon out on the bounce to deep backward square, where it's fielded by Ben Curran. And he sends in his return to Ricardo Vasconcelos, the keeper, and 1 more run onto the total, 61 for 6. And Dixon up to 33. 4 balls gone in the over and just 4 runs off it. Here's Glover with the indoor centre behind him. The lights on in the hospitality rooms. He comes in bowled wide outside the off stump to Scott Borthwick. And that's signalled a wide by umpire Nick Cook. And, well, we sometimes watch these wides and we say, did it just about go past the blue line? Well, that actually almost went wide of the return crease. It was that wide. Brandon Glover now looking at his boots. Obviously, he just slipped a little bit when his foot landed. That's his story, and he's sticking to it anyway. Here's Glover in again, bowling over the wicket to the left-handed Borthwick, who drives pleasantly out through extra cover, and he's going to pick up a couple of runs. It's a long chase around the boundary for Ben Curran, who sends in his, again, return on the bounce, 2 more to the total. Borthwick to 6, and Durham to 64 for 6. Frank mentioned a couple of overs ago, it's got quite murky now. It doesn't matter, of course, the floodlights are on, but from a beautiful sunny evening earlier on, the cloud has filled in a little bit, but no problem with the weather. That cut away by Borthwick, but he's only going to get a single. He's probably hit it too well. It just went out there, first bounce to Ben Curran sweeping out there on the cover boundary. And by the time it just got to the fielder, before they about halfway completed the run. End of the over, 65 for 6, so 8 runs coming off that first over of the evening from Brandon Glover. Sean Dixon playing a bit of a lone hand here for Durham. He's on 33, and Scott Borthwick is on 7. And now we're going to see Mohammed Nabi back in the attack.
I just feel in my role as the Durham commentator here, standing in for Martin Emerson, that I ought to try and bring a kind of bit of enthusiasm for the Durham performance to the game, but it's tricky. Great fight back with the ball after a disastrous start. Gave themselves a chance, but haven't found things easy since they've started batting. Nabi comes in, first ball of his second over is short and cut away by Borthwick to long off for a single. Just to reiterate, if you are just joining us, 100 for no wicket off 9 overs, Northamptonshire Steelbacks tonight. Ben Curran, 50 off 19 balls, eventually out for 62 off 33 balls with 11 fours and a 6. Vasconcelos made 60 off 45 balls. No other batsman really on either side have really found it easy out there. Zaid made 21 not out for the Steelbacks, and Dixon is on 33 and waits now as Nabi bowls to him, chips that up in the air and gets away with it because it lobbed up in the air, and Vasconcelos came running around from behind the stumps and it bounced just in front of him about 4 or 5 yards down the pitch. But just kind of reinforces the point that I was making. Dixon's on 33, but no other batsman have really found it easy on this surface to time the ball, to play big shots. And it's almost like we've seen 2 games, the first 10 overs and what's followed. And it's been extraordinary. As Nabi goes round the wicket to Dixon, who drives him straight down the ground for 6. Just waiting for the umpire to confirm that, but it was 6. We lost sight of it down below us. Our commentary position here at Wantage Road is such that the part of the field right down below the pavilion in front of us is just out of our sight. We're right at the back of the stand. Good view, but we do lose sight of the ball at that particular point. I thought he'd hit it well enough that it was going to go all the way, and it did. So Dixon goes to 39. Nabi round the wicket to him again now. Bowls and takes him on the pad as he tries to work this on the leg side. Drops out on the offside, and there's no run. Borthwick is on 8. So still Dixon, the only Durham batsman to reach double figures. 174 is the nominal target, so it'll be still 102 required as Nabi bowls, and Dixon works this away on the onside. Takes a single as White comes in from long on to do the fielding. Dixon goes to 40, 73 for 6. I've seen 100 scored off the last 8 overs a few times in T20 cricket, but rarely when 6 wickets are down. Not impossible though. Nabi again round the wicket, bowls to Borthwick, who cuts this one away on the offside. They take a single as Wayne Parnell does the fielding at cover, and he holds on to the ball because that is the end of the 12th over. Borthwick 9, Dixon 40, and Durham, needing 174 to win, are 100 runs away from that target on 74 for 6.
Yeah, good one to win for Durham from here. 100 off 8 with 4 wickets in hand, but as you say, write nothing off in this format of the game. Just to bring you up to date, if you're wondering what's happening in the other couple of games being played this evening, we mentioned earlier the other game in the North Group with Edgbaston, with Yorkshire bowled out for 81 and the Bears knocking them off for no wicket in 8.3 overs. In the other match, in the South Group at Southampton, Surrey made 146 for 7, Hampshire 41 for 2 in the 8th. Graham White back in the attack, bowls to Scott Borthwick, who pulls that away to deep mid-wicket for a single. Rob Keogh fields in front of what used to be the old Bowls Pavilion. Gymnasium now. One more on the total, 75 for 6. Borthwick into double figures. He's made 10. Graham White already with 3 wickets to his credit. Looking for a 4th as he bowls to Dixon, and there's an appeal for a stumping, and he's got it. Given out by umpire Ben Debenham. Big swing from Sean Dixon, didn't make contact. Ricardo Vasconcelos, good take, whipped the bails off, appealed for the stumping, and Ben Debenham sends Sean Dixon on his way, and that's a 4th wicket for Graham White, who's now bowled, he's in his 4th over. He's bowled 3 overs and 2 balls, 4 for 19. And Durham, 75 for 7, subsiding further, and the man that upon whose shoulders I suspect their last hopes of possibly getting somewhere close were resting, Sean Dixon, is on his way.
Good bit of work by Vasconcelos. Took a good catch earlier as well. I mean, he's a part-time keeper, but he's a bit better than that, isn't he?
He is. Well, he's.
And it was a neat job, and he knew he'd got him. You could tell by the way he ran off. He knew. I think the foot. Well, he just dragged out, hadn't he? And he didn't make any attempt to get back. Big wicket.
He has kept wicket in certainly in red ball cricket, and had a very good game when he was captain, opening batsman and wicket keeper against Glamorgan in the Bob Willis Trophy last summer. Here's White in again, looking for a 5th wicket, and that's slogged away by the new batsman Matty Potts for 4 out through mid-wicket. Well, fair enough. Matty Potts he's not going to die wondering. First ball was up there, and it wasn't a thing of great aesthetic beauty. I think that was a slog, because
yes,
it was.
I think so.
It was more of a sort of horizontal bat.
We could ask the listeners to define a slog.
Well, 79 for 7. White in again, bowls to Matty Potts, who drives that pleasantly. That's a nice stroke. That's not a slog at all. That goes up to long off. That's Tom Taylor coming off the boundary to field. One more on the total, 80 for 7. Potts is 5, Borthwick is 10. Graham White, in the course of this innings, has become Northamptonshire's leading wicket taker in T20 cricket of all time, passing David Willey, pulled away by Borthwick on the first bounce out to deep mid-wicket where Keogh fields. And there's just a single. Borthwick up to 11. And Durham to 81 for 7. 1 ball to go in the 13th over. So the asking rate now over 13. Here's White in again, bowls, and has driven up towards long off. Shouts of catch it, but it landed a good 5 yards in front of Tom Taylor, running in from the boundary. Applause for another successful over, and in fact another highly successful stint for Graham White, who's finished his work with the ball for the evening, getting a terrific round of applause from around the ground. And at the end of the over, 13 overs gone. The rate runs off that, but also a wicket. Durham are 82 for 7, and the crowd really getting into this game now, aren't they? It's quite good to hear. From a Northamptonshire point of view, 82 for 7 it is, and Graham White finishing with 4 wickets this evening. So he's left David Willey in his wake, up to 76 career T20 wickets now for Graham White.
Another fantastic spell from him. We spoke to him on the radio, didn't they, the other day? And his commitment to the club is amazing, and he just goes and shows with that.
Eldrick bowls the first ball of his new over to Potts, who plays a nice, very nice reverse paddle for 4 past short third man. He's come in like a man in a hurry, Matty Potts. He was angry earlier, had to be calmed down by his teammates when one of his short deliveries was called no ball, but he was calmed down, bowled well later on, and has come in and started well here with the bat, and he gets another run here as he comes down the pitch to Heldrick and drives him up to long off for a single. 87 for 7. Potts already on 11. He's joined Borthwick on that number. Great spell of bowling from Graham White. 4 overs, no maidens, 4 for 26. And that last ball he bowled, I don't think I've ever seen a spinner give one that much air in a T20 game. It was a moon ball, wasn't it?
Jeremy Snape job, wasn't it?
Here comes Heldrick and bowls. And, oh, well, how he's not got Borthwick there, I don't know, because he's taken a big swing at it, missed it. I thought it had bowled him, but Vasconcelos missed it as well. He must have thought it was going to hit the stumps too, and it dribbled away behind him for a bye. Fielded by Parnell, moving around from short third man. It's Heldrick again. Left arm over the wicket, wrist spinner, bowls, and Potts heaves this one away on the offside. Sliced out to Zabe at extra cover, and they get a single. Another interesting one on the old terminology, isn't it? If you slog it, it's always on the leg side, I think, isn't it?
Oh,
if you do that, that was a heave, wasn't it? He heaved it, but it's gone on the offside.
The lexicon
Slugs have to be on leg side.
Absolutely, the lexicon of cricket.
Heldrick bowls, and this one's planted. Seeking another verb. Planted over mid-wicket by Borthwick. Good shot, timed it well. Heldrick just drifting into his pads, and the left-hander just pulled it, sort of slog swept it really over mid-wicket for 6. Good shot from Borthwick. Goes to 17 off 14.
Well, it's his third T20 game as a left-arm wrist spinner, and I'm pretty sure that's the first time he's been hit for 6.
Yeah, well, that's not bad going then, I don't think. You better get used to it, because it'll happen again.
Indeed it will, yes. And hopefully they'll find him a number at some point as well.
Yeah, it looks like he's wearing a bib or a tabard, doesn't it? got a big blank space on his back. Anyway, Borthwick's gone to 17. He's had in a not very good night for Durham. Scott Borthwick's had a pretty good night, hasn't he? 4 overs for just 21. And he's now on 17 off 14. And he's waiting now. It's just a pause as umpire Nick Cook retakes his position at square leg. Heldrick is in, bowls, throws this one up. Borthwick comes down the pitch and gets it on the full. Square on the leg side, and he gets back for 2. I thought he was going to struggle, but the throw that came in from Zay was a little bit high, and Vasconcelos had to bring it down out of the sky before he could take the bails off. And Borthwick was home. End of the over, and 14 overs now gone. 97 for 7 is the Durham total. Remember, their nominal target, shall we call it now, is 174.
Well, the required rate has dipped under 13 as a result of that over, which yielded 15 runs off Freddie Heldrick. So the asking rate now a mere 12.8. And here's Brandon Glover. He's going to bowl his second over. First one went for 8. And just a bit of a break because Scott Borthwick's shoelace has come undone. Yeah, Scott Borthwick bowled beautifully this evening. It just helped to claw Durham back into the match after that whirlwind start, courtesy of Vasconcelos and Curran, with Northamptonshire 100 for no wicket off 9. Borthwick bowling 4 overs for 21. And now making some handy runs. But it's Matty Potts facing now. Bowling of Brandon Glover. Played to backward point, and the shied at the stumps by Graham White. They come through for a quick single. And I think if White had hit the stumps, then I think maybe Scott Borthwick would have been struggling, but he didn't, so he wasn't. And they one more on the total, 98 for 7. Potts up to 13, and now they're having an earnest conversation, the two batsmen, presumably about what constitutes a run and what doesn't. Almost as erudite a discussion, no doubt, as ours about what constitutes a slog.
I've had a few suggestions from an old friend of ours, Mr. Curtis. He says drilled, lofted, hammered, mowed, bludgeoned.
Yes. Muscled is muscled is one that's come in as well. Speared, usually over extra cover. That's one that you hear every now and again. Freddie Heldrick was just running backwards and forwards at the moment. They thought that Brandon Glover was pulling him up into the ring, but no, he's dropped him back to third man. Here's Glover in the indoor centre end, bowling, and beats Borthwick for pace, I think, there. Went past the inside edge, rather, of the left-hander's bat and went into the gloves of Ricardo Vasconcelos. I was trying to think, Trish, you were watching the game on Friday night with us against Lancashire when Glover, I think, slipped 5 balls in an over past, it might have been Alex Davis, but it might have been a batsman a bit lower down the order. It might have been Danny Lamb, I think. And it just did him for pace, and 5 balls in a row. Short, pulled by Borthwick, and a good shot. Again, kept his balance, just pivoted away and pulled it behind square for 4. And that brings up the 100 for Durham.
I'd say it was Luke Wood, I think.
Oh, it might, yes, the left-hander. I think you're right.
And then he got him out, didn't he?
Yeah. He slipped 5, I think, past the side edge. I was commentating at the time, and it was just like a bit like Groundhog Day. And then he did get him out. Yeah, well remembered. It was Luke Wood, the left-hander. Here's Glover in again. Bowls, and that's driven up to mid-on by the left-handed Borthwick, fielded by Tom Taylor, and they're through for a single. Borthwick rehearses a rather more expansive stroke. 103 for 7. Borthwick up to 24. Playing a good hand for his side, but one feels this game, barring something exceptional, has probably gone as far as Durham are concerned. They've still got 5 overs to go after this one, and they need another 71 runs, just 3 wickets in hand. Here's Glover in bowling to Potts, short, and Potts going to try and swing it away towards the west stand. Goes over his
He's angry
shoulder.
again, isn't he? He wants a no ball. He's saying
you
that one you gave me. No, isn't he? He is, isn't he?
He was,
and I don't blame him.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. Matty Potts was very, very angry earlier. That call of no ball, so snatching his cap and Just generally looking a bit like Ricardo Vasconcelos the other night when he dropped that slip catch, which I described on commentary as looking a bit like Elmer Fudd at the time. He was just getting so red-faced and angry. Here's Glover in, bowls, and that's slashed away by Matty Potts off a thick outside edge, runs down towards third man. Good bit of fielding down there by Mohammed Nabi. Cuts off the boundary, but they're able to come through for a couple. And the end of Brandon Glover's over. At the end of it, 8 runs produced, 105 for 7, 15 overs gone. Borthwick's 24, Potts is 15. These two have already put on 30. And they've just been together for, what, 2 and a bit overs. So they've done a decent job, having taken 15 off the over from Freddie Heldrick, but it's still a tall order for Durham, who need another 69 runs to win off the last 5. Borthwick 24, Potts 15.
Mohammed Nabi to continue from the pavilion. What do you make of him, Trish? What, off spin, does he throw the odd leg spinner in there as well, Andrew, or did I?
No, I think
I think
he does. I think he does. Certainly, he bowls a little back of the hand job.
He comes now and bowls. This one's a little bit quicker, a bit shorter, and it's hit down to long on where it's dropped by Tom Taylor, is it? I think
yes.
Coming off the boundary at long on. Borthwick not getting hold of it. And Taylor, it was a difficult one, round about ankle height, diving forward, but you take it probably 8 times out of 10, you would think. But he wasn't able to hold on to it. Borthwick survives, 24 to him, goes 26 to him now, 107 for 7. Nabi again. Round the wicket, bowls, and Borthwick goes big again on the leg side, and this time he is caught by Taylor, down by his ankles. A more difficult catch, if anything, than the one before. Not often you get a chance quite so quickly to atone for an error, but off the very next ball, Borthwick, almost an identical shot, and this time Taylor taking a very good low catch, and just watching the replay of it, no, they haven't caught it on the camera, so I can't say anything about it anymore. But he took it nicely by his ankles, and Nabi gets his 2nd wicket of the night. Borthwick has gone. He played pretty well, I thought, Scott Borthwick, for his 26. But I think we're into the last rites now, even though Potts is still there on 15. We've got the 2 debutants to come, and one of them, Harry Crawshaw, is coming out to join him now. Borthwick out for 26, and it's 107 for 8.
Well, a great opportunity for Harry Crawshaw to make a name for himself. I thought he bowled pretty well. Again, I don't think his bowling figures, I mean, you look at it and he's 2 overs for 20. But I don't think he did a lot wrong. He just happened to be bowling at a time when the batsmen were well on top. And he just learnt the lesson, and you made the observation, I think, on commentary, that there's so little margin for error in that sort of situation. But I think it's all part of the learning process, isn't it? Hasn't disgraced himself by any stretch of the imagination.
Nabi round the wicket, bowls to Potts, the batsman having crossed, and Potts gets a single down to long on. 108 for 8. Sorry, Trish, I did ask you what you thought of Mohammed Nabi, and you haven't really had a chance to answer. Maybe at the end of the over you can tell us what your sort of early impressions are. Doesn't give him much air. He's quite flat, isn't he? Quite low arm, but turned 1 or 2 tonight, and looks to me as though he's got a little bit of variation. Scoreboard still got the wrong batsman on strike. They've given Crawshaw a run that he hasn't got because he's left-handed, and Potts, the batsman, having crossed. Crawshaw now on strike, facing his first ball. And, well, there you go. That's what I call a confident young man. Goodness gracious me. First ball, round the wicket, left-hander from an off-spinner, and he plays a beautifully executed reverse sweep for 4. That's modern cricket.
And elicits from Mohammed Nabi the double teapot. He was not happy, was he? Not impressed at all.
And a little bit of Afghanistan swearing, I wouldn't imagine. I don't know. That was a really tremendous shot. Tremendous shot. Scoreboard's still all over the place. And he comes again now and bowls. And now he goes for a sweep on the other side. And it bounces over the stumps and is taken by Vasconcelos. And there's no addition to the score.
Just like Curran and Vasconcelos.
Scoreboard's all over the place.
I think they're pressing undo a few times, Frank, to try and...
It's 108 for 8 by my reckoning. No, it's not. It's 111 for 8. 112 for 8. He's taken on the pad as he tries another sweep. He's not really managed to relive the highlight of his first ball in that over with those next two shots. Nonetheless, at the end of the over, the scoreboard's right, all is well with the world. Unless you're a Durham fan, 112 for 8 Durham. Crawshaw has 4, Potts has 16, and there are 16 overs gone. Just 3 runs off that over. No, there can't have been. Can't be right, can it?
7 off the over.
7
That's
off
right.
the over.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Now we're almost in the realms of dear sir, is this a record? Because I was just looking, Northamptonshire last night in bowling out Leicestershire held 8 catches and a stumping, and this evening they've taken 8 wickets, 7 catches and a stumping, so they've taken 17 wickets and only hit the stumps once. Here's Parnell starting a fresh over, and that's paddled away by Matty Potts. That's a clever stroke, and he's gone away for 6, gone all the way.
Gosh.
Down to long leg. Didn't think he'd hit it that well, but he just helped it on its way, really. Ball slanting in towards his leg stump, with Parnell obviously bowling left arm over, and he just flicked it, helped it on its way, and it went for 6. 118 for 8. And Durham needing now just 55 more runs. They have 23 balls remaining. Here's Parnell, in again, bowls to Potts, who gets a thick edge and guns away for 4. Past the diving Vasconcelos. So, 10 runs off the first 2 balls of the over from Parnell. 122 for 8. 53 more runs, 52 more runs needed. And has this game got another little twist in it? I
Matty
wonder.
Potts is running on anger.
Yes, he
at the
is.
moment,
From
isn't he?
earlier, yeah.
Well, you've got the job of interviewing him afterwards, so if he wins the game for Durham, that could be a good one. Here's Parnell, in again, bowls to Potts, who drives straight back to the stumps, and it's out.
Oh,
Parnell has
the
deflected the ball off his foot onto the stumps, and Harry Crawshaw, what a way to go on your debut, is run out by the bowler, flicking the ball onto the stumps at the non-striker's end, off his boot, and a commiseratory pat of the backside by the striking batsman Matty Potts, who hit that very hard, and there was nothing very deliberate about it. Parnell just stuck down a boot, it deflected onto the stumps. Wayne Parnell may, of course, claim afterwards that it was pinpoint accuracy with his left foot, but a la Raheem Sterling, but no, it went onto the stumps. But Crawshaw's got to go, and that's unlucky for him. He's run out for 4, and Durham are 123 for 9, as the other debutant, Jack Campbell, comes to the crease. And, well, Matty Potts is still on strike, so he can still do some damage. 52 more runs needed. Parnell in again, bowls to Potts, driven, but not timed at all. And Parnell diving away to his, or sprawling away really to his right. Stops that one. 122 for 9. Not much daylight now, the floodlights taking full effect. So it's quite a cloudy evening now. Earlier on it was glorious sunshine. And a bit of a cool evening now. Here's Parnell in, bowls to Potts, who looks to swing that away on the onside. He's going to get just a single as it goes out to Ben Curran, fielding down there at deep square. They come through for the run, which takes Potts up to 27 and Durham to 123 for 9. Mid-wicket conference between Matty Potts and Jack Campbell. Campbell about to face his first ball. The lights now in the hospitality suites at the far end of the ground in the indoor centre, shining quite brightly now. Similarly, the figures on the scoreboard. And they're just changing the field and bringing Mohammed Nabi up into the circle at short third man. Here's Parnell bowling to Campbell. That scuttles through, doesn't bounce very much, goes past outside the off stump. And Campbell doesn't make contact, goes into the gloves of Ricardo Vasconcelos, who is calling for his helmet, so presumably we're going to see some more spin. And at the end of the 17th over, 11 runs coming off that. Durham are 123 for 9, Matty Potts is on 27, and Jack Campbell yet to get off the mark. And it is going to be Nabby.
And Trish, you can finally have a chance to tell me what you think.
I think he's probably underperformed with the bat. I think they would have wanted a few more runs from him. He's had a couple of really good starts, but not gone on. But I don't think they can complain too much about what he's done with the ball. I think they missed him at the beginning of the competition, and if we had him for those first few games, it might be a very different story.
Comes in now and bowls this one flat and wide outside the off stump, and so wide that it's called a wide. Darted it across Matty Potts. Potts definitely going to go big at the first opportunity, I think. 27 off 15. Short, and he does go big, and he isn't quite big enough, but it's misjudged by Safe Zabe out on the boundary. I thought for all the world he'd scamper in and take that catch, but he thought it was travelling a little bit further than it was, and it died on him really, and they ended up just getting a single, 125 for 9. And we're in the 18th over, and Mohammed Nabi is going to bowl to Jack Campbell, debutant, who again I thought didn't do too badly with the ball. His first over was expensive, ended up going for 21 off 2, but his second over was good. Drives this one back to the bowler, and there's no run. Horrible way for Crawshaw to be out. Harry Crawshaw run out, backing up at the non-striker's end. Nabi is in again and bowls, and this one is driven by Campbell out to mid-wicket. Saw Jack Haynes of Worcestershire get run out for 87 at Edgbaston like that. Hasn't ever got 100. He was absolutely devastated. As Nabi comes in round the wicket, bowls. Campbell gets a single, playing this out to square leg, where it's fielded by Zabe. And then a couple of games later, he was on 97 and he got a half tracker and smashed it away to square leg and was brilliantly caught one-handed on the boundary against Derbyshire.
Cruel game sometimes.
And now he's injured. There's Nabi in, round the wicket, bowls, and this is nicely played by Potts. Times it well, clipped away off his legs, but a good diving stop on the leg side boundary means that they only get 2. Potts goes on to 30. Other than Dixon 40 and Borthwick 26, only the third Durham player to get into double figures. As Nabi bowls and Potts drives out on the onside, and that's fielded at long on by Graham White. They take a single, which means Potts keeps the bowling. He's on 31. It's 129 for 9 off 18.
Yeah, 45 runs needed off the last 2 overs, so still a good one for Durham to win. And Mohammed Nabi finishing his work for the evening. Another very tidy spell from him. And say over the course of the competition, he's been going at less than a run a ball, which he's done again this evening. He's just feeling he's got a little bit of a tweak in his left side. He was favouring it last night, actually, after his stint at Leicester. Wayne Parnell started the 19th over to Matty Potts, driven up to long on, and Safe Zabe very quickly off the boundary and cuts off any possibility of a 2, which Matty Potts, not surprisingly, was looking for. But it's well fielded out there by Zabe, and it's brought Jack Campbell on to strike, and Potts coming down, having a word with him, offering him some advice on how to play it. They're dropping third man down. That's Mohammed Nabi dropping out of the circle down to third man and bringing deep mid-wicket in. Parnell bowls short to Campbell. That was a quick ball as well. It was a quick ball. It sails over his small of his back. Goes into slaps into the gloves of Ricardo Vasconcelos, and Wayne Parnell, as he's shown certainly in red ball cricket on occasion, notably up in that epic game at Headingley when he took 10 wickets in the match and Northamptonshire finished up losing by 1 run. He generated some real pace up there. There's Parnell in again, bowls to Campbell, who goes for a big hack, gets an inside edge, and it runs down to long leg for 4, which will not please Wayne Parnell a great deal. Ball returned to Vasconcelos. The music plays, 134 for 9. Campbell is 5, Potts is 32. Matty Potts done well here. He's just done his thing. Ball's been up there, he's been prepared to put it away. Campbell on strike, again very full from Parnell. This time just gets again off a thick inside edge. This time runs down to long leg where it's fielded by Freddie Heldrick, coming in off the boundary down below us, and keeps it to a single. One to Jack Campbell takes him up to 6, and the total to 135 for 9. So 39 runs needed, but just, what, 8 balls to go. And another man coming into the ring, so 5 saving 1 on the offside as Potts drives that up towards long on. Safe save coming round to field. They're going to come back for 2 this time. And again, they set themselves almost from the moment the ball left the bat to come through for 2. And they were able to, despite the fact that Zabe is, as we know, quick across the ground. But an easy 2, 34 to Potts, 137 for 9 Durham. 1 ball to go in the penultimate over. Encouragement for Parnell. 8 off the over so far, and that's swung away by Matty Potts. But he's got the single that he would have been hoping for to take strike at the start of the last over. Rob Keogh fielding out there on the boundary, keeps it to 1. End of the over, 138 for 9, so 9 runs off it. Potts is 35, Campbell is 6. And to bowl the last one, I think it's going to be Brandon Glover. So they're going to make sure that they get their money's worth from him this evening, having had a very, very quiet evening yesterday at Grace Road.
It's a fantastic little innings from Potts. Obviously, he came out in a quite bad situation, but he sort of kept his head. He's not actually tried to slog, we've said that word again, slog everything. He's just actually played decently.
Well, I think Andrew had him slogging his first ball, actually. But apart from that, yeah, no, you're right. He's played really well. It's just a shame it's in a losing cause, really. Here's Glover, starts the last over, running away from us. Number 20 on his back. He bowls to Potts, who drives nicely through extra cover. He'll get 2. Curran, the fielder. Runs matter, I suppose. You get your net run rate up a little bit, even in a losing cause. And it's quite tight at the top of this group, especially with Yorkshire having lost tonight. 140 for 9. Potts 37. Waits now as Glover moves in again to him. And bowls, and he drives again firmly off the back foot, but this time straight to fielder at extra cover. And there's no run. So 4 balls left. And the game is won as far as the Steelbacks are concerned. They've been a good out. They've played well tonight, but it has almost been like 2 different games. The first 10 overs and the next 30. In comes Glover again. He bowls Yorker. Potts tries to give himself a sort of firm base and drive it down the ground, but he gets a toe end on it really and just squeezes it up to mid-on. That's fielded by Graham White. White the star with the ball for Northampton tonight. 4 overs, no maidens, 4 for 26 from him. I'll run through the other bowling figures as we come to the end of this over. Glover is in now and bowls, and Potts goes for a big hit on the leg side, and he's only going to get 1. No, he's coming back for 2, and he makes it comfortably. So 142 for 9. Potts goes to 39. The other bowling figures then: Mohammed Nabi 4 overs, no maidens, 2 for 25. Tom Taylor 3 overs, no maidens, 2 for 19. Wayne Parnell 3 overs, no maidens, no wicket for 29, and Freddie Heldrick 3 overs, no maidens, no wicket for 22. Here's Glover in again to bowl to Potts. He bowls short, and Potts heaves this one away down to long leg. Hits it well, but he only gets a single because it's gone straight to Heldrick. 1 bounce. Potts shakes his head. He's an angry man tonight, Matty Potts. Has been since he had a no ball called with a short one that he didn't agree with, and he's come out and batted like an angry man. He's punching his bat now. Cross that he didn't get that one to the boundary, but he's played really well here. He's got 40 off just 26 balls. Bowled pretty well too. There's Glover in. Bowls a Yorker, and the Yorker is enough to defeat Jack Campbell, the debutant, and he is bowled, and the Durham innings comes to an end, and Brandon Glover picks up his first wicket of the evening, first wicket in the last couple of days, bowling Campbell for 6, and Northamptonshire Steelbacks are the winners. 143 all out Durham, so a 30-run victory, which is quite a significant margin in T20 cricket, and a very good effort from Matty Potts, who finishes unbeaten on 40. But to be fair, this game was won in the first 10 overs, in my opinion. 105 for 1 was the Northamptonshire score after 10 overs, 100 for none off 9, and really everything that happened after that was a bit of an anticlimax after the way that Curran and Vasconcelos started. Brilliant win for Northamptonshire by 30 runs. Durham fought back really well, I thought, with the ball, but alas, 173 was probably too many on this surface. No other batsmen after Curran and Vasconcelos really found it easy to bat on, and a very, very comprehensive Northamptonshire win by 30 runs.
Yeah, and for Northamptonshire, that's now 4 wins in 5 matches in the T20, with just that defeat, the heavy defeat, it must be said, up at Headingley against Yorkshire on Saturday night. But yeah, 4 out of 5, so Northamptonshire go up to 9 points from 11 games. As I say, it's going to be the most they can get if they were to win each of their last 3 matches. Would be 15 points, which may well, even if they do that, not be enough, but they're giving themselves a chance. And the mantra from the Northamptonshire coaching staff has been that as long as there's still a chance of them going through, all they can do is just keep winning as many matches as they can. But I mean, Northamptonshire don't now play another T20 match for another, 9 days, when they go up to Old Trafford and play Lancashire Lightning up there a week on Friday, and then they finish off with a home match against Derbyshire and an away match against the Birmingham Bears at Edgbaston after the after the finish of the County Championship campaign, because they've got the match against Yorkshire starting here at Wantage Road on Sunday, and then they're at Cardiff to play Glamorgan starting on July the 11th. But yeah, victory here for Northamptonshire by 30 runs, and very much hope you've enjoyed our commentary this evening. Every ball of every match, of course, covered live on the BBC throughout the county season in all the various competitions. So from myself, Andrew Radd, from Frank Watson, from Trish Hankins, thank you very much indeed for your company. I hope you'll join us again for more county cricket on the BBC soon. For our online listeners, we'll be closing down the stream now, and for listeners to BBC Radio Northampton, I'll hand you back to the studio.